Okay, gentlemen, ladies, start your engines. We are going to start out looking at the interim budget discussions, and our main focus will be operating, and then whatever priorities administration is looking at, and then the last will be capital projects. And there we have some flexibility that depending on how much money we have left, you can put on as many projects as you want to at that time. So that's kind of how the process will unfold here today. So, any additions to the agenda? Administration.
Good morning, Reeve and Council. A couple of additions from the administrative side. First of all, please add 5.1. We have an update that just came in on Moose Hill Bridge. We will provide that information to Council. As well, we'll add an item number 10. For the 2026 budget, we have a request by a third-party organization, that being North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance. A letter is attached in the budget edition seats, and that's all administration has, Reeve.
Okay. Any councillors got any issues? We got 4 days of this, so if there is something that comes up, you can always add it at one of the next ones as well if it's there. But I think we've got a full plate right now. We're all good, are we, folks? Okay. All right. We need a motion to adopt the agenda with the additions. Carol? I didn't say Kara, I said Carol.
I move to adopt the agenda with the additions.
Discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimous. Okay, administration had talked to us about having a closed session right off the bat there to get some of the things out of the way that can't be discussed publicly. It all fits within the personnel issues. Okay, so what we need is somebody to make a motion to go and close. Glenn?
I move to go and close for closed session, Personnel ATIA Section 20.
Discussion? All those in favor? Okay, call the meeting back to order here. We need a motion to come out of enclosed. Dallas?
I move that Brazeau County Council come out of enclosed.
Discussion, all those in favor? Okay, by law, we're going to take a 5-minute break. All right, well, it's been 5 minutes there. We'll carry on with where we were at before we went in closed. So the first item on the agenda is the interim budget introduction orientation. Reserve accounts, who's looking after that? Colin?
Good morning, Council. Before we get started in the 2026 interim budget process, just wanted to have a couple housekeeping items, provide a little clarity as to the process here that we'll undertake, and then as well as provide some insight into the content in your budget binders that you have in front of you there. Just a bit of a high-level overall comment on the budget. Just to remind Council, the revenues used within the operating budget are based off last year's tax assessment that we received. So that's approximately $30 million is what we had received through municipal revenue through our taxes last year. That's not including seniors or the school requisition in there. That would be adding another $12 million that we had paid for those, but just the municipal portion using to fund our operations was $30 million. We will receive the updated amounts at the end of February, at which time we will put those in. And like I say, at this point in time, we're not expecting any significant changes in speaking with our assessors. But when we do receive that information, we will come back to council and provide an update as to what our actuals end up being, as well as once the provincial budget is tabled as well, to any impacts coming from that would have a direct impact on budget. We'll come back to council and we can address those issues in the final budget. So from now till the final budget, those will be the main two components that we are waiting for, and administration will come back to council to provide highlights as they are received. Within your operating budget, we do have the years with the previous year, the 2026 budget, and some forecasting. There is an actuals column in there. So that is, and it does make note of it, that is current as of our last pay schedule on November 4th. So from the finance end of things, we do have our year-end process, which usually we take to the end of January, a little bit of February, as well as our external audit that takes place in February and March as well too. So we will have all that information updated and factual there for final budget meetings in April. Ideally, we'll meet at that point in time. As far as directions that the Reeve did point to the agenda, a new one will be provided each day to council, outlining items still to be reviewed or requiring a council decision. That way we kind of keep track of where we are in the operations there. We do, with that agenda, you'll see page numbers. We do have one page for council's binder, and then we do have pages for public packages. The council binder does go into a little bit more detail, and we do not include that in the public packages due to sensitivity and proprietary information from some of our vendors and the pricing that we receive from them. Administration will take council through the respective operating budgets, each department or manager of that department. And as we go through, we welcome any questions from council. If there's something they would like a little bit of clarity on or have us further expand on, we're more than happy to do so. We have provided as a side document some commonly used acronyms that sometimes come up. Administration will try to stay away from speaking in acronyms and provide the full explanation of it to provide better insight to council. Yes. As we go through this process there, as we mentioned, the budget binder, everything from motions, service level is included in that operating budget. We will see once we conclude the presentation of the operation budgets, there will be reports both on the operating and capital side. Just to make note to council that these reports are not currently funded within the budget. So as these reports are presented and council makes any motions on those items, we will look to have funding assigned to them. And as mentioned, we would be looking to the restricted reserve sheet. The council has been provided on the 11/17 page there. So we will look for, yes, to assign funding to the report should council wish to go ahead for them. As mentioned, they currently are not funded within the current operating or capital budget there.
Which ones are those, Colin? Sorry.
So it's this. Should be on the inside page of your binder, but just the.
Oh, this one here.
Correct, yes, yeah. So as we go through those reports, and if after council deliberation, if there's something they would like to proceed or add to the budget, we would just request that we find a funding source with that to assign to it. And then as part of that, I will be making track of all motions made and the financial impact of those as well. So I am available to provide updates at any given time as to, what's the financial impact of these motions, and as well as what is the corresponding impact on reserves or anything like that. So I will be keeping that going in live time there. So if the council would like some information, just please ask and I can provide you with that information.
I would suggest that we don't make any motions till we're done all the way through. Otherwise, you could spend all the money on the first three motions, and then you've got a whole pile of other ones there. So I would suggest you don't make motions right away. You just get all the information, and then if there is things you want, then you put it on there. Otherwise, like I said, you could spend all the money in the first three motions. Everybody understand? Okay.
And with that all being said, as mentioned, administration is pleased to present a balanced 2026 operating budget with no proposed borrowing or tax rate increases. Administration is projecting an approximate $3 million operating surplus. And with that $3 million surplus, I have applied that to the restricted reserve account opening balances. So that has flowed through from the operating budget to the restricted reserves. So that is looking in there under the 2026 additions. The council will see some items coming through, and these are coming funds raised through the operating budget. And so this has been applied to the restricted reserves there. And if there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them. If not, we can begin with the presentation of Council and CAO operating budget, which can be found on pages 4 of 7 in Council's binder and 4 of 6 in the public packages.
You say 4 of 6?
Yeah, so you'll see there is a council tab,
Yeah.
and then there's some a bit of a narrative there with the council's pictures there, and then on the back side of that page will be the start of the council operating budget. Everyone good to go? All right. And as administration goes through it, a little bit how we're going to go through is we'll go through the budget, and then we'll highlight areas of where there has been significant changes year over year, whether through reductions or increases, and provide a bit of an explanation there as to what would cause each of those. Beginning on, as mentioned, that page, I guess that's 5 there, or the council one there. When we're going through it, we really don't have significant changes within this budget overall. One of the items that I'll bring council's attention to is public relations 222 account. And the reason for the decrease in this is we do have $8,400 that was made through motion to the Brazeau and Beyond travel guide last year. We did have delegation from Ms. Fredrickson earlier, and she has submitted a request to council, which will be included in the reports package. But as that is, the last motion is just for 2025, so council can deliberate whether they would like to proceed with that for the 2025 year. So that is not included, as well as there was a $2,000 motion for the Drake Handy Bus in 2025, which is not included in this year either. And so that is the cause for the decrease in that item there. On the next page, under legal 232, 2025 budget, there was $50,000 budgeted in council's legal. We have reduced that to $10,000, and that is based off actuals that we are seeing accumulating in that account to date. So that has been reduced from $50,000 in 2025 to $10,000 in 2026. Underneath there as well, we have 239. Our professional and special services. These are, for the most part, outside contractors that are hired to do work. And within this, this is related to council's government relations consultant. So that is the only item that is held in there. And that is remaining same as last year. Just wanted to point that out for council's information as they get to know the consultant there. And the last item there, under 500, materials, goods, and supplies, we do have a $21,000 reduction, and that is, since this, we're leaving that election year, in the 2025 election year, we did have $21,000 budgeted for new council supplies, laptops, and subscriptions, and items such as that. So since that expense was incurred in 2025, that amount has been removed, and actually $24,000 has been removed in 2026, as those are a one-time cost we see once every 4 years, so those are no longer included in there. Overall, the council budget has been reduced approximately $70,000, primarily from no election costs, and then as mentioned as well, a reduction in the legal budget there. So if there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer them, but. So for the next item, the CAO budget, there'll be a following, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Dallas.
Colin, could you just break down our legal part, break that down a little bit more for us?
As in kind of the utilization of the account, or?
Yes, and like it's an actual, so what was that? What was the use of that? And it's just council alone, just so it's not.
That is just council alone too, so I'm not too sure if maybe if the CEO has specifics items there. It looks like there is just some general consulting. Yeah, as of November 4th, as mentioned, I believe there's $2,900 that has been billed to that account throughout the course of 2025. So I imagine that would just be some general consulting with council's legal counsel.
Okay, thanks.
So which one you headed to, CAO's
The
office?
CAO's office, that begins on page 18 of 151 with the actual operating budget located on page 21. So as well, this budget is comprised of the CAO's office, emergency management, and safety. As mentioned, we've kind of had that emergency management and safety rolled into together there a little bit. So looking at the CAO's office there, we don't see significant increases throughout it. The public relations has a $5,000 increase just based on some of the the actuals and items incurred to date. And as well, we have reduced the legal budget for the CAO's office from $20,000 to $12,000. And again, that's looking at actuals incurred. And kind of as mentioned in the previous one, this has just been through some general consulting due to items as they come up through the year on various hot button topics there. On page 22 of 151, under 2400, we have emergency management. And so some of the changes within this budget on 213 training, one of the items is we have increased the budget from $5,000 to $15,000, and this is related to ICS position-specific training. Just through some of the reviews and items we've had with that emergency management, we are training individuals to be to stock an EOC if required. So that does require some training there and further for some positions there. So we have increased the budget on there in hopes of getting some people a little more trained up. Under the 239, we have increased that about $9,000. And that is primarily, again, due to emergency management getting some addresses and the system set up there a little bit. Also, as well as part of our preparations for call center. We do have intercom messaging. We'll be acting as a call center in the event that something does take place, and we do need that 24-hour response time on there. So those two items are the increase that we're dealing with in that budget. On through the safety budget on page 24 or 23 and 24, the big significant changes there. We have increased staff training related to crane, confined space, and fall protection. Some of those items there that we are regulated to provide to our employees. On 239 professional special services, we have decreased that by approximately $75,000 as we are now up and running with emergency management plan and everything like that. We are not looking to the potential for some consulting charges and things like that to get us up to that. We have brought ourselves up there and are acting on that plan, but a bulk of the work has been completed, so we're not having a fund there for the requirement for that. On page 24, you can see kind of the bottom line impacts, and overall, year over year, we are seeing a $150,000 decrease throughout the CAO office's budget.
Go ahead, Dallas.
Okay, so I'm just back on page 23, and there's basic overhead crane training, confined space, fall protection, first aid, ground disturbance, and so on. Will council have the opportunity to do first aid again, just so we can get updated? Is that something that we can factor in the next 4 years? And I think ground disturbance would really be beneficial for council to sit in on ground disturbance training. Is that something that we could build into that? Or, because it's only $64,000, or $6,445.
Yes. No, as part of a takeaway, we can, we can sit down and chat with Kathy and safety there and look what the possibilities are of that. So, yeah, certainly we can get back to council on an update on that one if there's some interest in participating in those.
Okay, because if we hire a consultant to come in and do training, if we have 3 or 4 more butts in the seat, does it cost us any more money? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm unfortunately not aware of the specifics, but
okay.
That sounds reasonable to me on. So yeah, we can certainly have that as a takeaway.
All right, thanks, Colin.
Don't look at me, Shane, I don't know the answer.
Okay. Well, if there are no further questions.
Okay, go ahead, Shane.
Kind of going along with Councillor Ekstrom's, the ICS, would that be something that we could also get council in on? Or some of it? I think that's a pretty important element to leadership and understanding. If you've taken ICS before, you guys have said some? Oh, there's councillors. Okay, then I redact that, or I take that back, never mind.
No problem. Good
What's
question, though.
ICS again? Refresh my mind.
Incident command systems.
Oh, I see, okay.
Okay, there you go. Learn something new.
There you
Oh, then I take it.
go. Excellent.
Keep going, Colin,
Well,
these
with-
guys will be out of hand here in no time.
All right, we'll keep the ship going here. With that being said, we will bring agricultural services forward for item 4B on your agenda. And you can find these on the tab located within your binder, beginning on page 28 of 151 and page 24 in the public budget binders.
Good morning, Reeve and Council.
Good morning.
We will be starting under the Ag Services tab, as Colin said, page 28 of 151. Please stop me if you have any questions. Between Colin and Lee and myself, we will try our best to answer them. So just a little bit of an introduction. Ag Services Department works closely with the Ag Services Board to develop programs and policies, to recommend to council, and to advocate for Brazeau County's agricultural producers. Ag Services manages our weed inspection and our roadside vegetation, as well as other programs, including the hawkweed program, the herbicide rebate program, no spray program, and pitch-in program, among others. Ag Services also administers the ALICE program in the Brazeau County, which supports partnerships with farmers and ranchers pursuing environmental conservation projects. So in 2026, Ag Services wants to have a continued focus on weed control on private land that is encouraged through education and incentive programs. We continue to engage with Alberta Transportation to increase maintenance on Alberta highway right-of-ways, and we will continue to support the ALICE program by engaging local farmers and ranchers in environmental conservation projects. And of course, we will continue with ASB advocacy efforts. So moving on to our operating budget on page 32 of 151. Oh, sorry, I'm ahead. 30 of 151. So, on the revenue side of things, there's no significant changes. Beyond 6301-500, you'll see the haying and grazing lease fees. That revenue for 2026 has dropped because we have no renewals coming up in 2026, whereas we had one in 2025. Moving on to 6302 revenue at the ALICE program. You'll see the increase up to 125,000. This is a prediction based on ALICE trends in the community and how many projected acres we believe that will be enrolled into the project. Any questions on that? I do have Nancy in the gallery if we have any questions. Okay, moving on to page 31 of 151, agricultural services expenses. So again, in the ASB budget, the Ag Services budget, Ag Service Board budget, we have no significant changes beyond an addition for additional conferences. Under 211, we have had a very active board in recent years who have had a desire to attend educational opportunities, conferences, stuff like that. And we are seeing an increase in the cost of hotel rooms, travel, meals, stuff like that. So we added an extra line in there. And also under 212, additional conferences under mileage as well. Other than that, like I said, ASB budget, no significant changes. Moving on to 6301, the Ag Admin budget. Under 211 there, you will see that there's a reduced budget for the PVMA conference. That's just due to the fact that that's a conference that's hosted every other year. So we do not have that in the 2026 budget. Rest of this page, no significant changes. If we flip to page 33 of 151, again, you see about 5 lines down, a reduction for the PVMA conference, just due to the fact that it's not being hosted this year. Continuing down the list, under 222, we have a reduction in the budget here. Council in this last year has rescinded a couple policies, ASB policies, for the 100-year farm family and the ASB awards. So just taking those awards out of budget reduced their moving down to 239, we have a couple highlighted grants to organizations for Ag for Life and Ag No. You will see those come up in the next couple days in some RFDs from ASB. So
Go ahead, Kara.
Through the chair to Liz, just under the Ag No, under 239. And I may have misheard, but I heard Ag No has lost their funding from the province. So will they continue to exist?
They have, over the past couple of years, been seeking bridge funding. I am not sure at this exact moment where they stand.
Okay.
They have been staying afloat and looking for funding. So I can come back to you with an update with that if you need.
Okay. Yeah, or I may be able to update you too, depending on my circle I talk to. So that was the talk last week, is that the province did not renew their funding. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So just below there, we have 2 lines for forage, club root, and fusarium lab tests. We reduced those because a little bit further down, we included them in the resident free feed, seed, and soil samples. So we're just cleaning it up a little bit there and including those values in that $10,000. And same thing with the top of the next page, the soil samples. We removed those and included them in the $10,000 above. Other than that, we have no significant changes here. Moving down on page 34 to the 700. So here we have removed the Alberta Farm Safety Center. ASB has chosen to no longer provide funding to that organization. And then farming forward, you will also see a RFD coming in the next few days for that grant organization. And that is our egg and min budget. Any questions? Okay, moving to 6302, our Alice budget. There are no significant changes within this budget, so if there's any questions.
Go ahead, Glenn.
I'm sorry, I want to go back to 700.
Oh, yeah.
On the pitch-in program grant, we allocated 10,000, and we're showing the actuals as of November 4th to be 0. Was there any use on that program, or that is line, Joe, I don't know if it's a line number, it's 771, pitch-in program grant. It's showing 0 was used for the year.
Sorry, so the actuals are included in the top line. So the 771 grants to organizations, if you look at the top, there's 11,899. We just
Okay.
didn't have it specifically allocated down to the grant.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. So in 6305, the only significant change is down in 511 on page 36, 151. So there was, in 2025, there was, sorry, can we just scroll up to 6305? Perfect, right there. In 511, we had, in 2025, we had $8,000 budgeted for inspector tablets. That was a purchase that is not required in 2026, so it is not being budgeted again. And then in 6306, the vegetation budget, we have no significant changes. And that is Ag Services, if you guys have any questions.
Glenn?
Just on the agricultural signs on the highways, was that was part of the budget, wasn't it?
Correct.
Were they ever purchased, or?
They're sitting in our Ag Bay right now and can be put out next year.
Okay,
They
thank
look
you.
beautiful.
Alrighty.
Thank you very much, Regent Council.
And with that, we will bring Mr. Chambers up for item 4C in your agenda for community services.
Morning, Reeve and Council. So page 41 of 151, you'll see the tab for community services. Excuse me. So community services has a number of departments underneath its umbrella. So there's the communications, which handles all of the county communications, including Brazeau County news, news releases, website, and all Brazeau County social media accounts. We have Parks and Recreation, including the campgrounds, community halls, cemeteries, Brazeau Sports Park, and numerous other park facilities. And we have the Protective Services, which is the CPOs. So we have 3 CPOs, including traffic enforcement, bylaw enforcement, patrolling of county roads, and animal control. And then this administration of recreation cost sharing with the agreements, with library service agreements, family and community support services, FCSS, and our Fin 7 community funding, which I'll get into that more as we go along. And then we have a number of, like community services represents Brazeau County when we're dealing with Drayton Valley, Village of Breton, Wild Rose School Division, and community school resource officers. And then, of course, you've just heard from Liz, as far as the Ag Services also falls under community services. And from there, I know we had a number of accomplishments in 2025. Big ones was probably the Rocky Rapids Playground, and that was supported by a CFEP grant. And then, of course, the pickleball courts and basketball courts at the Lindale. That was supported with another CFEP grant. And as far as going on to 2026, a lot of these are not highlighted yet because it depends on, you know, there'll be RFDs which council wants to go with or not go with, so they'll be moved into the 2026 priorities. So moving on to page 44 of 151. We'll start with the revenues. And again, just stop me at any time or if you have any questions, but I'm really just going to highlight any significant changes. So as far as revenues, we do have the police revenues. There's no significant changes there. You'll see we have road permits, which is road data. That's, we do have a contract with the province where they, people can apply for their road permits through that. And so there's the revenue that comes in there. So there's no changes there. We have animal control fines, and we have the traffic fines through our CPOs. And then moving on to 5100, which is Family Community Support Services, FCSS. There's no significant, well, there is no changes there. I just wanted to point out that this is a grant that we get with the Alberta, the province of Alberta, and it's an 80-20 matching. So we provide 20% matching component, and they'll provide the 80%. And then you'll see further down when we get into the expenses, this is distributed between Breton and the town of Drayton Valley. We distribute that, 1/3 goes to Breton and 2/3 goes to Drayton Valley. And then there is the cemeteries under 5600. So we have the cemetery plot sales. We've slowly increased that over the years. We have taken on a few more cemeteries. I like to think of, I mean, we talk about the province as far as downloading, but I think when it comes to cemeteries, it's kind of uploading. They originally, cemeteries were, well, today they're only allowed to be operated by a municipality or a religious organization, whereas it used to be you could have a society, so they're not really grandfathered. So it seems like a lot of the cemeteries, a lot of the boards, they're getting older, and so they're coming to the county, and so we're taking them on. So yes, so you'll see increase in cemetery plots and perpetual care. This is something that we're mandated to have a perpetual care. So when people buy plots, there's a percentage that goes into perpetual care, and this is to maintain once the cemetery is full or we're not getting any revenue. This is to maintain, make sure that the cemetery is still taken care of. Okay, so moving on to the next page, 45. We're into recreation and parks. I would just, you'll see the changes under 400. You see, oh, we're not getting the revenues anymore, but that was, like I mentioned before, we had this CFEP grant for the Rocky Rapids Playground, 90,000, and we had the Lindale CFEP grant, 77,500. So of course, that's not in 2026. It was a one-time. But we'll continue working with groups to apply for that, so they'll show up as we, you know, we are successful in those grants. I'd like to just bring to your attention the campground rentals. We do have group campsites, which is Easyford Group Campground, the Lodgepole Group Campground, and Modest Group Campground. And then we have the contract with Willie West Campground. And so we're looking at, there's no significant changes there, but we're looking at about the same money as we did in 2025. Moving down to the Brazeau Sports Park, that's 7201. This is revenue that we get from the town for the, we cost share on the Brazeau Sports Park. And so there's no significant changes there. And then under community halls. We do have this will get into an RFD that we're looking at Easyford, and so I'll get into that more. It shows a $10,000 revenue as far as the budget compared to 2025, but when I get into the RFD for the Easyford, it'll explain more there. Moving on to the police budget and the expenses. You're probably aware, we did see the addition of a third CPO was added to the budget, and actually look, next week at council, we'll introduce our new third CPO. And so when you look through the budget, when you compare 2025 to 2026, you'll see a 1/3 increase all the way through, and that accounts for the third CPO. But other than that, I would just bring your attention to some of the items, and I'm going to move down to page 47 under 341, Alberta Solicitor General, RCMP Services. You'll see that $670,679. This is our share that our cost for the province, and it's based on a formula. I haven't seen a revised formula yet, so it is still the same for 2026. One item underneath there is enhanced policing overtime patrol. Brazeau County does provide $60,000 for overtime patrols to the RCMP. This is a voluntary amount that Brazeau County has been doing for as long as I've been here, and so that's $60,000.
Kara?
Chair, to Lee, I have two questions. Maybe I'll work my way back. The 60,000, are they using it for overtime?
Yes, they have never used all of it.
Okay.
I can check the exact amount to see how much we've used. I don't know if we know today because it's billed at the end of the year.
Okay.
But we could probably find out from last year if you want to know.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I want to make sure they're using it. If it's there, it
Yeah.
should be. We get enough complaints about rural crime, so. The other question, or more of a comment, those that were present last week at RMA, Minister Ellis did tell us the bill for policing is expected in December.
So that will be, so we may get a revised amount on that 670, 679. We'll see what happens. But I know they did a 5-year one, and so this is sort of the tail end of that.
Enhance the extra patrols? Oh, okay. I thought you said overtime.
It's extra patrols, but it does work out to overtime, yeah.
Okay.
So then, the other.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Oh, sorry.
Through the chair to Lee. So I guess the province, on the policing side of it, they covered that 30% increase this year. And it sounds like they're not going to do it in the coming year with the budget. So talking to Otasko and some other counties, they're already adding $200,000 into that police. That's $670,000. They're already anticipating that, and they're adding that into their costs. Would there be any wisdom in doing that for us as well? So, like our end could increase $200,000 by springtime, right? After this budget, the provincial budget comes out.
There's other factors that change this amount. I know that one thing that Brazeau County does as well is it's in the formula now, we provide a GIS, an extra position that we don't have to specifically fund. And so when they did this formula, they took that into an account. If you had these positions already, they would deduct it off the formula. But that's not to say that the communities, oh, let's hire a position and deduct it off. It had to be already in there. So there could be other factors but I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything whether it's going up or down. So I can't. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll keep
Yeah,
moving.
carry on, yeah.
Okay, so I'm still on page 47 I just want to bring your attention to the body cameras. That's under 512, under major hardware. We did have 20,000 in the 2025 budget, and so of course, that's not showing in 2026, so our CPOs, when you do see them, they are wearing their body cameras now. Moving on to page 48. At the top of the page there, this is the CSRO cost shared with Drayton Valley and the Wild Rose School Division. So our portion is $66,176. We also cost share with Village of Breton. That's for a part-time position. So that amounts to $10,000. You also see that we cost share with the Drayton Valley for administration, for half-time secretarial position. And one thing that's changed in under 752, grants to Breton, we paid for their secretarial, the administration part, admin assistants, and because they've closed the Breton detachment now, and I know through retirement, you'll see that 65,801 is not showing up in the 2026 budget. So, had a conversation with them, so that's a savings there. And then moving on to 2,500, which is the grants to organization. Brazeau County does an annual allocation to STARS ambulance services. So now it's a fixed amount, 16,500. And then moving on to FCSS, as I mentioned in the revenue part of this, this is the expense part of it where it's distributed. So you've got 2/3 going to Drayton Valley, and then 1/3 going to the Village of Breton. So you've got 100 with the 80% from the province, and now 20%. The total amount is 177.12 to Drayton Valley, and then you got the 85,228 going to Breton. And then we also provide money to the schools, family wellness program. That's 12,700. And then moving down to daycare. This is the early childhood daycare, ECDC. I know that as part of the arbitration from a few years ago, this was added in as far as the county would contribute to the ECDC. We haven't had any costs associated with that, with the provincial funding. It tended to cover it, but we are expected to be looking at about approximately 50,000 in 2025, so we've carried that over. Well, not carried it over, but it's the same amount for 2026. And then just
I
at the
thought
bottom.
since the ICF was over that we don't have to fund the ECDC.
No, it was, I haven't heard, that was part of the arbitration. It was in there that we needed to pay for that, yeah.
Say that again?
Until we redo the agreement, the current one stays.
And so we do have an expired funding agreement, and we were just waiting. There was supposed to be some more direction coming from the province, and maybe you know something we don't know, Mr. Reeve, but I know that, as far as I know, that's where we're at today, so.
Yeah, because I thought it was just, there was a term agreement, not an ongoing agreement. There was just a term for so long to fund ECDC.
The funding agreement, although it's expired, we've been following it, just living with the spirit of it, but, although it is expired, yes. So.
Go ahead, Kara.
Now you've got my question, or attention. When are we redoing the ICFs then?
I'm expecting something coming. I don't want to put Kathleen on the spot. Have you heard anything lately, Kathleen, as far as?
I tend to lean with the Reeve. If I put some words in his mouth, he'll correct me. But why are we paying for childcare if we don't have to? Because that's the new legislation, so. we may want to move this sooner than later, other than the fact is, when we go to negotiate recreation, they will be higher. So careful which apple cart you tip over. Because I would suspect what we intend to save from not paying for childcare, we will be seeing a massive increase on the other side, so just saying.
You're probably right, which I don't like.
If I can just respond through the chair to Councillor Westerland. We have been seeing a number of changes on the Intermunicipal Collaboration Framework, or ICF, through the province. We are holding off until the new year to see if they add in, they've made some changes, and we're not 100% confident that there's not going to be a few more wiggles before we have something to move forward with. So all ICF discussions have been held off until late January, beginning of February to start.
It was designed to piss off the new counselor, so.
Okay, so I'll keep moving. So we're on page 49 of 151. So cemeteries. I just wanted to point out where I mentioned about sort of uploading of cemeteries. We presently look after Lyndale, North End Cemetery, Rocky Rapids Cemetery, and the Lodgepole Cemetery. And there is a further 9 other cemeteries, and I expect that trend to keep happening. We'll be taking, it seems like we take one on every couple of years, and I know that there's one in the works again. So moving along, the community services budget, and so we're on 6,200.
Just hang on there, Lee.
Yep.
Carol's got a question.
I just have a question. Through the chair to Lee, you have under grants to organizations, the physician recruitment, I see you've budgeted another $5,000 for that committee, and I'm not sure that that committee is active at this point, so I'm just wondering if anybody would like to comment on that.
Not sure, who's the counselor assigned to physician
It
recruitment?
was Kara, I think.
Yep.
Carol's alluding to something because she sits on the committee with me. I'd leave it in the budget, Carol. It's easier to give it back than not have it, I think, at this point. But we haven't, the committee hasn't made a decision one way or the other, but they are currently inactive. So if you know anybody that wants to join a committee, they are looking for volunteers because I believe the board is down to 4, and those 4 are 2 from Brazeau County Council and 2 from, the other both are town councilors, correct? Or no, one.
Half the committee got elected.
No,
Well,
the
we-
entire committee, other than one.
Yeah.
We have
Out of-
one,
yeah.
I was a member at large, but now I'm on county.
Yep.
And we have a
Kara.
county member, and we have one
Jeffrey.
town and one previous town, but member at large. So
Yeah.
there's
And
4.
actually, if I remember quite, correct, at orientation, it wasn't even, the committee wasn't even on there, so, because it's inactive, so.
Thank you.
And just to point out, just because it's budgeted doesn't mean to say it has to be spent. And we have not, 2025 budget of 5,000, those funds have not been forwarded, they've not been used, so. And 2024, I think that was the last year, they used the funds, so. Okay, so moving down to community services. There's no significant changes. You'll see a reoccurring theme there as far as hotel and expenses that way. They've been increased slightly. But moving on to page 50, yeah, I don't have any significant changes. There's no big changes for the community services budget. Moving on to communications, which is the middle of 50 there, 6607. Again, conferences slight increase, and then we do have some increases moving down to 243 as far as the Brazeau County News Annual Report, that type of thing. We've got some slight increases. We were at 53,045, moving to 56,340, but that's mainly the increases there. And then moving on to Rec and Parks. Again, I'm just going to bring some to your attention. In the middle of the page 51 there, some training. We do have some new staff, so making sure that we do, you'll see the CPSI playground inspector. So we've got an allocation for training for that, as well as the pesticide applicators. We've got training for that as well, for new staff. Moving on to page 52, 151. I'm just going to highlight under 239, under contract services, we did do some water well abandonments at Lindale Hall. That was to the tune of 12,000. We had Moose Hill, Pitaquay, and so that's not going on to 2026 because that happened in 2025. We've got some truck rental increases, just as far as, again, expenses at the bottom of the page, going from 16 to 18. We did have some one-time expenses under 500. That was the Lodge Pole Park fence replacement. We'd budgeted 6,000, so it's a one-time only. And then moving down to the middle of page 53, under 751. This is grants to the town of Drayton Valley. This is the rec cost sharing, which we already talked about. We do, we've got 1,450,000, and we've got that 25 and 26 is the same. I haven't heard anything different at this point yet. So, and then we do cost share with the just under that with the village of Breton. We budget 75,000, and I don't see any changes. It'll be 75,000 again. And then grants to organizations, which I mentioned before. This was just one-time funding as far as the pickleball and the Rocky Rapids Playground. So you've got those one-time expenses which have been completed with the, we had the matching revenue from CFAP to offset half that amount. So then moving on to the bottom of 53, moving on to the Brazeau Sports Park. Just, there's no significant changes there. Expenses. We did some parging repair on the washroom facility, so that was a one-time only, so it's not carried over, a $4,000 touch. And so that, basically that's the way the overall budget on the Brazeau Sports Park is reduced there. Then we move on to libraries.
Go ahead, Dallas.
Yep.
Thanks, Lee. So Lee, how come pesticide applicator is there for $700? What's that doing here? Why is that not on the ag side? Do we do that separately? Is that a?
Yeah, which number are you talking?
Oh, it's on page 51. It's
51?
line 213.
51. We do, the parks does have a landscape pesticide, which isn't an ag one, so they do have that, that applicator's license. But it doesn't come under ag, no, it's just for our parks, yep.
Okay. And pests would be pest?
Landscape applicators,
Oh, okay.
so it's the landscape applicator, but
All right.
I can, maybe I can get back to you on that one, why it's specifically called pesticide, what we look at that way, but I know it's landscape applicators, so.
Okay.
And maybe here's Tristan, maybe he can fill us in a little more. Do you want to go on this one?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. He was asking specifically because we had the pesticide applicators under parks, and just wondering what, we have training for $700. I was thinking this was more for landscaping, but
Yes, so through the chair to Councillor Ekstrom, the pesticide applicator portion in the parks budget, it is a requirement of our job descriptions to have our pesticide licenses specifically for landscape pesticide application. And in the event that one of the pesticide applicators from the Ag Department is unavailable to sign off on applications, the Parks Department will then step in and supervise for that day.
Okay, carry on, Lee.
okay. So, forgive me, where were we? We were at, we're libraries, were we not? Is that where I left off? Okay, thank you. So then, we do have the operating grant for the Drayton Valley Library. There is a slight increase there, and you'll see under reports, there is a breakdown for the Drayton Valley Library as far as the increase there, 191,596 to 198,274. Not jumping ahead too far, but I know that they've had some issues at the washroom, so I think they've got some security. They've hired some security there, so I think that's the main increase for the Drayton Valley Library. And then,
Go ahead, Kara.
Are we dealing later on in the budget with the library separate as a separate ask for the increase, or are we dealing with it now? Thank you.
no,
Okay, so I'll hold my question until we have the actual RFD.
Yep, so then there's also the grants to Breton too. We provide funding for the Breton Library too, so a small increase there. And one thing I wanted to bring to your attention was the zero-fee tuition program. So we did put in the budget, it was new last year, $60,000 for the zero-fee program. This was where the town offers a zero fee, I think mainly with the nursing program. And so they did have a number of people from the county funding for this. So we've provided $60,000 in there. And I can say, I mean, that was an estimate based on, and I just confirmed this week, we spent $10,000 this year. But it's up to a maximum of $5,000 per candidate, so there was 2 candidates that received $5,000. So moving along, I'm on page 55 of 151. I'm just going to bring to your attention that we do have the community hall sustainability funding. This was a match funding to help out the community halls, an incentive, whatever revenues they bring in through their rentals, we could match it up to the tune of $18,000. To date, this year, we spent $25,500 of that $50,000. And part of that sustainability was that they would sign, they would change their bylaws. So if ever a hall falls in, like we've had a number of halls that have folded, and what happens is their land and their asset falls to the province if, you know, it sort of falls in between. So we've got them to change their bylaws, and now their bylaws, it would fall to the county so they could have the asset, and then we can, you know, best see what we do with that asset, whether, you know, and the funds stays in Brazeau County, it doesn't go into the provincial coffers. I can tell you that as far as changing that bylaw, Carnwood has done theirs, Whitby has done theirs, Fennell has done theirs, and Lindale has done theirs, and Barrymore is just in the process. So it's going in the right direction.
Carol?
Just through the chair to Lee, on that piece, was that not a 2-year funding, 2-year agreement that said you had to have that bylaw in place for 2 years, and then the county could take over the property if, wasn't there a 2-year limitation on that of some sort?
No,
Okay,
no, it's perpetual. It's in the bylaws. So.
okay. Thank you.
So then moving on, the community hall operating grant, which is separate to that sustainability. We did have $10,000 in 2025, of increasing that to 120. I know for 2025, we spent 109,000, so we're right at the limit there, so it's needed to up it. I can tell you that when it comes to the operating costs that we provide to them, 50% of that funding is insurance. So moving down to Easyford Hall, there is some items that they don't occur every year, but they're just every second year, as far as under 253 building maintenance. And just for background information for new councillors, this is one of Easyford Hall was run by a society, it was independent, but 5 years ago they did hand the keys to Brazeau County. So at least the board was still active that they could do that, because what happens a lot of the time is these community halls, you know, they don't have a quorum anymore, they don't have an active board. So even if they wish to, you know, gift the hall to the county without a quorum and an active board, they can't do this. So that's why we want them to change the bylaws so it can fall to Brazeau County, and then the community can still decide the fate of that hall. So, so we have the one-time, well, not one time, but every second year we've got the Easyford Hall furnace duct cleaning, and then we have some money in for the kitchen fire suppression inspection. The Easyford Hall does have a commercial kitchen, so we're required to do inspections on that. So we're looking at 6,000 to bring that up to code. And then we're looking at some painting. I know the contractor we have there has been bringing the hall up to, they're volunteering, they're painting themselves, but we're putting some money in so they can buy paint for that. And we did replace the beverage cooler in 2025, so that was a one-time only. And we did some tables, and so that brings it to the end of the community services budget. So at the bottom of page 56 there, the grand total for community services, we're looking at 4,744,000, which is down slightly from 4,871,000, which is sometimes misleading. You look like it's lower, but what will happen is some of them are RFDs, and if we get grant funding, it can change. That's it for community services.
Go ahead, Glenn.
So at our last rec board meeting, we were told by the town, some of the staff, they met with engineers, and the ice plant there, could last till 2027, but the engineers have really recommended that we take advantage of a grant through the Municipal Green Fund, and another one, I think it's CEC, but the total for that project's going to be $5.7 million, and they're going to be coming to council on the 2nd of December looking for some money. So I don't know how that plays into this budget. That would be $1 million from the county to get this in place before we lose the potential. So right now, the town, they've been saving up money. They have $700,000. We have zero. But yeah, like I said, it's either we upgrade this plant and retrofit it, and the savings, the big things that the engineers said is that right now the grants probably aren't going to exist after the new year. So if we do got to replace that in 2027, then these grants probably won't be there to cover it. So they're really recommending that we do something like that. And they also did say that if we did it, there'd be savings of about $150,000 a year just in energy savings that would be split. But I don't know how that plays into this budget, or it sure darkened my day when I heard that, but what do you think then, through the chair to Lee?
You're probably under the capital budget section.
Yeah, when we get to capitals, there is one project that comes from the arena, and that's the railing. It's a smaller request from the town, but you can, operating, we're required to fund any capital, we're not, but of course, it's been an ongoing conversation, but it might be prudent to put some money aside, and like you say, that grant right now, 5.7 million, if we take advantage of the grants and we're successful, we would only have, it would be 2 million would be on the hook for, so 1 million would be from the town and 1 million from the county. They're looking to try and do that this year, why those grants are there.
I just thought I'd let council give them the heads up.
Go ahead, Dallas.
Thanks, Reeve. So before we let you guys go, can you tell us a little bit about the body cams that our CPOs are wearing? Have they proved themselves valuable in convictions, and how is that footage used and reviewed and utilized?
It might be a good idea to introduce you to our senior CPO, which is Jesse, and so I could, if we can find some time, we can schedule him to come back and maybe have a conversation. And actually, he is coming, if you're okay with that, he's coming on the 2nd to introduce the new CPO. Maybe that's a good time you can have that conversation, if that works for you.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Lee.
Kara? you
Nope,
like-
sorry.
No, you're good? Carol?
Take you back
Yep.
to Lee through the chair, back to page 47 of 151. Under line item 512, it says Tough Book replacement laptops. We've budgeted $6,000 in 2026. And underneath it says Tough Books replacement laptops every 2 years. So last year we budgeted 6,000. It says every 2, so should it not be 6,000 for 2027? I'm confused there.
Because we have the new CPO, the 3rd CPO, I need to get another one for him, for that person. So that's why it kind of fell out of rotation. We're going to be doing one every year now, because when there was 2 CPOs, it was every 2nd year, but because we've got 3 every year, we're replacing one. Like, in other words, like every 3rd year, we're replacing it. You following that?
Yep,
Yep.
I am. So that's for the additional CPO?
Yep.
Thank you.
So Lee, you were all done, eh? Okay. So who's up next? Colin?
So as we approach item 4D on the agenda, on page 64 of 151, you will find the corporate services operating budget.
Sure.
Right out of the blue. Thank you, Reeve. So I see that we've scheduled our strategic planning in the new year. I really think that strategic planning is something that we should be incorporated into our budgeting system. Is that something that we can do, quick review, and maybe a little bit of foreshadowing? Like, our budget will be completely, not entirely done, it'll be an interim budget. But we're making a lot of the decisions right now, right? So what's your thoughts on that?
What are my thoughts? Well, it definitely is part of this process, and maybe it should have been done ahead of time, right before the budget. But I don't know how we can do that now that we've started. We could, right after we're done the operating budget, is go into a strategic planning mode, and then focus on the capital stuff next year.
26 year.
Yeah, for the 26th year.
Yeah, I think there's some benefit in that.
Kara?
I was actually shocked to learn, just sharing because we're on this topic. Most councils, and quite a few that I talked to, their budgets were actually set prior to the election, so that it wasn't an election issue. And you could tweak things a little bit going on, but as you can see, like, if you talk to our staff, so two things is, this budget was prepared in the summer. This just doesn't appear between the election and now. This took how many months, Colin?
June, essentially, their
So,
deliberations.
so just so you're aware, this actual started in June, so to make changes is not, it's not impossible, but it kind of throws in the face of the work that's been done already. And the other thing that I'm learning, and I'm actually, and then I verified and checked in with the procurement side. It happens in a lot of municipalities, they made the switch this election to have the budget set prior. Then obviously with some adjustments afterwards, so that it was an election issue. And second of all, they're tendering already. So we are already behind the gate on tendering process. So if we delay this anymore, I would suggest we need to get this well, it's up to council, but if we don't have something approved by the middle of December, you might as well, anything that we have to get tenders on, you might as well throw it out. We're already late. We're too late already. Generally, in the past, we tried to have everything done the end of November, beginning of December, so that they can tender right away. And if we keep delaying this process, our tenders are going to be out of whack. And I heard from at least 4 or 5 municipalities, bigger ones, their tenders have actually been out since the beginning of November. So we're behind the 8 ball already, which will severely skew our budgets.
Well, we don't know that, Kara, and I know doom and gloom does play a part in budgeting and negotiating to get things done, but the sooner you get it out, the better off you are. And I agree with that part of it. And we've always tried to get them out soon, usually but that's primarily for capital projects. And it all depends on how many capital projects you guys want to do, right? So, roads or whatever it is that you want, or big projects, that's stuff you guys have to decide. It may be a time for focusing on something else. You know, maybe recreation, maybe ICFs, you know, maybe something else. But tendering is usually tied to construction projects. Rudy?
Thank you, Reeve. To Councillor Ekstrom's point, I do agree. I'm of the view that the strategic plan is in fact the most important document the council approves, and the budget flows out of that document. That's always difficult in an election year because we have such a squeeze for time following the election and the mandatory things that need to be done with council, like orientations, et cetera, to fit in a strategic plan in there. So, so the thought that we had was at the very least, we could get through the operating budget and at least have the strategic planning session in advance of the final budget in case there were some key things out of this strategic plan that could be actioned in the final.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it's hard to go back in time. But if we want to, once we get the operating done, we can have a pause and think, do we want to have a, you know, sit down and start thinking about our strategic plan? Where do we want to have this county going? Kara? Then Glenn. Yeah, Glenn number 2.
My thoughts, again, just the cautious of time and trying to get tenders out, because now we're talking about the capital. If we are going to do a strategic plan, I would suggest it gets done in December and early December, so that we can get our capital done and in place and tenders out before January.
Dallas?
Thanks, Reeve. Yeah, I'm not talking about pressing pause or anything like that. I would just like the opportunity to reflect. We have 3 new councillors. This is the new council. And it's an opportunity just to look at the strat plan, where we've come from, where we're looking in the past. We've gained a lot of information on the campaign trail. We knocked on a lot of doors, and we all walked away with new ideas and potentially new opportunities. So I don't want to tap the brakes. I just want to have it there so that we can have a look at it, and it will create an opportunity for us to create a better strat plan once we hit it, once we hit the new year. So yeah, I don't want to stop the process at all.
So we're moving along quite quickly here already. We've covered a lot of ground already, which is good. We're going to be done this agenda, I think, today. So So then it's gonna free up some time even this week possibly. And you can make your Christmas wish list. All right, let's carry on then with our agenda that we got before us right now. See where we end up at.
Okay. As mentioned, draw council's attention to page 64 of 151. Just a quick cap of the finances here on the revenue side. We don't have a lot of significant changes. The one main change we do have is just revising down our estimate in regards to some interest that may be received through investments, just as we're entering a bit of a different interest environment there, more so on the long-term ones where that's anything greater than the 1 year, where we were getting some good 5-6% interest investments there. So we are, with the rates out there in the world, we are seeing that come down a little bit as well too. So we have just a little bit more conservative estimate on there, but that's the main change on the revenue side of things for the corporate services department.
But the good side is if you have to borrow money, it's at a lower rate as well.
Yes,
So
there's a silver lining to it in some degrees for sure. On page 65 of 151, again, just beginning on the expenses, we don't see any significant changes. On page 66 of 151, again, pretty standard year over year. With the corporate service department, we do look after the expenses for this main administration building. So we keep it status quo for the most part on that regard, so we won't see a whole lot of fluctuations on that end. One main item and a topic that will be discussed as we go forward over the next couple of years on page 67 of 151 under 239 professional and special services. The increase from 2025 to 2026 is there is $50,000 listed for ERP consultancy services. So that is related to our main operating system here in the municipality. So unfortunately, the program we use, I believe we had implemented it around 2009, 2008. It is being phased out and will no longer be supported by Microsoft here in the next 2 years. So as part of that, we do need to look at changing the system that we do use. It is a costly endeavor. So we will be having a consultant come evaluating our systems and what systems we can migrate into. We are looking for partnership opportunities with other municipalities in regards to some of the software there. But it will be something that we will be exploring and doing a phased implementation of it and coming back in the 2026 or 2027 year with a budget request on that regards there. So it is
this going to be a customized thing? Because you'll usually run into a problem there because you have a few people that can service it, and then the original guys 5 years from now disappear. Whereas it's nice to buy something off the shelf that you can buy off the shelf. And you're saying Microsoft will no longer be available?
So to the Reeve, so you're exactly right on that end. And so it's not a customized, with a lot of the things we see now in the IT world, companies are moving to cloud-based, subscription-based services. And so like all those things, that's what these ERP systems are going into. So ideally, we would look at another Microsoft. They have a new system coming in, replacing their old one. I believe actually the town of Drayton Valley, they're currently undertaking that this year as well too. So yeah, their previous, the Great Plains version we currently use, they won't be updating payroll tables and all those things, so it won't be able to be used. So we'll look for the new cloud-based, subscription-based program that they're rolling out. And so there's 3 or 4 main programs that municipalities use that are really geared towards, property taxes and the functions that the corporate services in each uses. So we'll be looking to, use one of those programs and go through a bit of an evaluation process as to which one will service our needs as well too. There's some good service level items on there. You can have items such as a customer portal where residents can come in and get their tax notice, and some of those things you'll see in some of those bigger centers. So we'll be looking at that, but something that really, is specific for our needs, and that you can buy the main program, and then a lot of the items is the modules you purchase. If you have property tax, they bolt that on there, and, you know, we don't do a lot of, you know, codes or anything like that, so we don't need a lot of those there. But it will be ideally based around that same system we use now, just a little bit different. And like I say, unfortunately, it's a subscription type service versus buy and own it for kind of perpetuity there.
I switched to that about 10 years ago, subscription-based software. So you always have the latest software. You don't have an old system that you have to go buy, you know, spend another $1,000 on a new CD and then start again. You just pay so much each year, and you've always got the latest and greatest.
Yes, yeah, and that's where on the IT, the security side of things, similar to your phones and items, it is nice because you are, you know, doing an overnight run or an update on it, and you do get the latest and greatest, or the fixes of the bugs and things like that. But it is, yeah, pretty much the most critical piece that we have running the organization here. So it is a pretty big undertaking that we're doing. So ideally, what we'd like to do is have the program identified, and it's a one-year implementation period, where essentially we will implement the new system and run them side by side. I've been part of organizations where they've flicked on the light switch on the new one and it's cratered horrifically and been really bad. So we're looking to do a methodology, you know, a good methodology here on approaching it. So that's kind of the undertaking we'll be taking going into the 2027 year here, ideally implementing it. So
you're just giving us a heads up that there'll be a major change in 2027?
That is correct. Yeah, we'll do a little bit here of the groundwork and get everything proofed out, but we will be coming back to council with some of those bigger updates there. But that's the main thing here on the finance side.
Any questions?
Okay. Going through to the next page, there's really no changes in the budget for the rest of the finance general admin 1200 side. When we look at 1203 IT, I'll bring you again to the 239 professional and special services. The main increase there is that it is our due to the 3-year rotation on the ortho photos. That is coming up this year. So you will see an increase of $116,000 under the 239 account for our IT.
There's been some things that have changed on our planning interactive maps as well. There's not as many features that are available anymore. I'm not sure what has happened there. Or I could be just misusing it as well. So,
Yeah.
but that's a very valuable service. I don't know if you guys have used it at all? Okay, it's very valuable. The real estate people really love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so when we go under on page 70, 151, 241, again, as we spoke on the topic of subscription services, unfortunately those as well too, as you do get your year-over-year price increases. So we have updated that. There's been about a $10,000 increase organization-wide for increase in subscription services. On this page, you'll see a lot of line items, and basically that is to help our IT department keep track of the subscriptions that they require in security items there. See, this goes on for a couple pages, so I'll maybe take you to page 74 of 151. We do see a reduction of $5,000 in general goods and services. Just for some rural addressing, we every couple of years put out some magnets and things for residents 911 and their legal land description and things like that for them to do it. So we include those with the taxes every couple of years. Under 512, you'll see a reduction of $35,000, and that was last year we had budgeted and purchased a new wide format plotter scanner. Ours had cratered the old one there, so we did purchase a new one in last year with a one-time cost of $35,000, and that is not included in this year. So we do not have that included, so there's a reduction there.
That's for making maps?
Yes, making the big ones there. Under 1204, rural communications, these are related to the county-owned towers. And we typically have a year-over-year, not a whole lot of changes. One thing that we are seeing now is on the previous towers the county had with their agreement with Wild Rose. They have some old towers out there that ExploreNet had taken over and put some equipment on there. They're no longer using that equipment and are taking them off the majority of those small towers. And as a result, residents have asked for the towers to be removed from their property there. So in 2025, in conjunction with Public Works, we will be arranging the removal of towers from some of those properties there. So we'll hope to get them bundled up to hopefully get a little bit of cost savings on getting, 4 or 5 there together. But it seems to be the new way they're going. They're not much use to them there, so they're peeling off all that equipment.
There's not much salvage value then, is there?
No, there really isn't.
Okay.
And that is the majority for rural communications. Under human resources, on page 75, we have increased our recruitment advertising budget up there from $4,000 to $12,000, just with some of the challenges we have received on the recruitment side of things. And under 500, we have an increase in regards to some replacement of some office furnishings and chairs. A lot of these desks and things like that were originally purchased when this building was moved into, so some of them we're finding are just reached their end of life and breaking down there as well. So just doing some maintenance and some replacement there. On the bottom of page 76, the total budget for the corporate services, we see a $600,000 reduction in there to a couple items. Overall, there's a $260,000 reduction in the expenses, primarily caused by orthophotos and our, as mentioned, ERP consultant. And then on the revenue side, the reduction is due to some readjusting on some expectations on interest revenue. I can take you on page 77 under general legislative. So this holds the funds that we are receiving from taxation, and on the other side there on the expenses, it also lists the funds we are to pay out on the expense side in regards to school requisitions and senior requisitions. On page 78 of 151, you'll find under the 8100 741 school foundation. So as of now, we're anticipating $11 million in school requisition to be applied during taxation, and as well as the seniors requisition of approximately $780,000. Yes, that's about it for corporate services, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions, folks? You're too smooth, Colin.
Yeah. If there are no other questions, I'd invite Fire Chief Thompson for agenda item 4E, Fire Services, and that is on page 90 of 102 in your binder.
Go ahead, Tom.
There we go. Now we got it. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Reeve, Council.
Morning.
This morning I'd like to go through the fire services budget. For those new councilors, I'll explain how this works because it is a little bit confusing, a little bit complicated. So in the section under the fire service budget, starting on page 90 of your package, the fire service budget is split up into several different sections. So there's one section that is for Station 1 Lodgepole, another section that is Station 2 Breton, and then there is a general section which we have funds in that section that are for both those two stations. So for example, freight costs, advertising, those go in the general section as opposed to being cost shared out to each individual each individual station. So I'll go through the different sections, and then if council has any questions, I'll be happy to answer any. So starting in section 200, contracted and general services. For the most part, the budget is very similar to what it was in 2025. There's small increases to the training portion, which primarily is the result of a new online fire engineering training program that we've initiated on the department. That is the theory portion of our teaching to our membership. There's also some slight increases to freight and some other slight increases as well in regards to the general costs that are going up overall. There are some specific costs that you will see increases. So for example, under section 239, professional and special services, you'll see at the bottom there under there is a first due subscription cost that has been put into the budget. That was approved by council last year, and so that's why that is not, you now see that in the budget. To counteract that a little bit, under section 263 in leases, you'll see that there is a reduction in contracted services for tower rentals. Because we've now moved to the AFRAX radio system, we no longer need the rental of the towers, so that is a decrease. So when you look at both of those two costs together, it evens itself out. In regards to section 500, materials, goods, supplies, and utilities, again, there are some slight increases. Significantly, the biggest increase in this section is for the Fire Smart WASP program, which council approved last year. There is additional funding, as council can recall, and for the new councilors, that was a 3-year program that was approved. So this is year 2 of the program. Now, just so that council is aware, all of the funds that were budgeted for last year were not completely used. We still have some money from that point, so there could be some cost savings as we move forward, but I just wanted to make sure that we had the numbers in the budget. The reason why there was some cost carryover from this year was the fact that it took a little bit of time to get the program up and running. By the time we got the sprinklers and into the fire station, and by the time we got our Fire Smart people trained, it took a little bit of time. Also, it poured rain for most of the summer, and fire suppression wasn't first on people's minds. So we're hoping moving forward into the spring coming up that more people will take advantage of the program, because I think it is a really worthwhile program. So, some other increases in that area. We also are in the process of replacing our wildland personal protective equipment for both Station 1 and Station 2. We started the implementation of that process this year at Station 3 in Drayton Valley, and so now we're just continuing it on at Station 1 and Station 2. There's also another slight increase, a one-time increase, which council will see, and that is with our new pumper truck that is expected to arrive in March of 2026. We also need to purchase some new equipment for that. Consequently, there is a cost for that. That cost is shared with between the county and the town. So I've put in, on this side of the budget, I've put in the county's portion, and then the town will have their portion as well, because that is a cost shared item. So that's the county portion. Now moving into the town, under section 700, transfers to Drayton Valley. Station 3 Drayton Valley is a cost share station between the county and the town. That station does respond to calls both in the town and in the county. There are some things specifically in that budget that the town specifically covers that the county does not share in the cost in. For example, if it's a town vehicle, then the insurance and the maintenance and all of that kind of stuff, the town would cover the cost. Also, the firefighters' insurance, the town covers those costs. So there are some specific things in that budget that the town covers. However, it's for the most part, it's cost shared. Similar to what you see on the county side of the budget, there are really no significant increases to the budget on the town side. Again, under we call it Section 240, which is the training side. Similar costs you'll see, for example, like the fire engineering training program, online training program. We're going to be implementing that at that station as well. And again, in moving down to general supplies, slight increase. Again, we, with our, as councilors who were here before, I've mentioned to council that we had a huge increase in our paid-on-call volunteer membership. When you bring a large number of people on it, it takes a significant amount of time and energy to train those individuals. Another part of that is when we bring new people on, their equipment has to be what we call fit tested, and so that is your mask that goes around your face. It has to be properly fitted for you. Because we have had a significant number of females join our department, their face size is smaller, so now we have to move forward with purchasing masks that will fit them. So there is going to be an increase there to cover those costs. As well, we also have some older self-contained breathing apparatus equipment that is meeting its life expectancy, so we are starting to begin to replace those units as well. And like I mentioned with the county side of it, there is a budget item set aside for the cost for the tools for the new truck. And again, county won't pay that. That will be the town's portion for that cost. Other than that, there's slight increases with fuel expenses and utilities, but for the most part, it's pretty much status quo. Or actually, some of the budgets are even less than they are this year. So, and that's the budget. If council has any questions. Okay, seeing that.
With that, we'll call Mr. Lee Chambers back up for item 4F. And that is found on page 103 of your binder.
Yes, so I'm just going to get into the revenues for the planning and development. I'm just going to get into the, under 500, and specifically 563, oil company leases and fees. We did have 90,000 for 2025. We're looking at a slight increase to 95 in revenues. That's based on current agreements, anticipated renewals. And then moving down under, well, on
Karen?
page 106, sorry.
Just hold on there, Lee. Karen?
Yep.
Thank you. Through the chair to Lee. Question is, are we having any issues with oil field companies paying their surface leases? I know a number of our residents are having troubles. Are we?
Do you, Colin? Yep.
To the chair, to Councilor Westerland. At this point in time, unless planning is going to correct me on that, I do not believe that we are experiencing any difficulty. Accurate? Okay, yes.
Kara, what was your question? I couldn't hear you.
My question was if we are having any issues collecting the payment from the oil and gas companies on the fees, because some of the companies are not paying landowners.
I'm one of them.
Okay, so keep moving to page 106 of 151. We've got the Municipal Planning Commission. As far as the expenses, no significant changes there, just the usual theme there as far as conference and membership fees, slight increases there. And then going on to the SDAB, Subdivision and Development Appeal Board. This one isn't always used. It's only when we have to do with provincial and oil and gas, that's when this will kick in. So a lot of time it's not used, correct me if I'm wrong, Tina, but I think the last time this was used was 2019. So no significant changes there. And then I'm going on to page 107, and I'll take you down to legal. We do have a larger budget for that. We've got the same amount carried over, but, legal advice on stat plans, policies and concern files, court versus related to enforcement files. So anybody that's been at MPC, and maybe you've seen at council, as far as, some of that, we've had to seek counsel with, gravel pits and things like that. And then at the bottom there, we do have a carryover that was 239 as far as the land use bylaw review. So we still carried that 13. It wasn't spent in 2025, so we're carrying it over to 2026. And then same on the next page, on 106, we have budgeted for planning consultant services related to the area structure plan, municipal development plan, any advice from third-party planning consultants. We did have a budget of $73,500, so that's being carried over the same in 2026. So that's not been, how would we say? We've not put that out, and it's not been awarded yet. So we're hoping that'll be right away here. So overall, no significant changes, but overall, the budget does see a $30,000 increase on the planning and development. And I know if you've got any specific questions, we're lucky we got Kathleen here today, so she's pretty good at, if you want to get into any of the details of that.
They're all deep in thought, Lisa.
Yep.
Oh, go ahead, Carol.
I do notice that the $30,000 increase is mostly in the salary, wages, and benefits side of things. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Public Works.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Hey, Public Works, we're one of the most visible departments of the residents. We're out there on the roads and facilities, kind of being seen every day. Areas overseen by Public Works, there's road and infrastructure and maintenance, water and wastewater, solid waste collection, the transfer stations, fleet and building maintenance, administrative agreements, procedures, customer service is a big part of what we do here, project management and contract administration. Okay, so going to page 119 of 154. Under revenues, only one I wanted to mention was the aggregate levy, so under 3201-400. So you will see there is a motion to bring back the changes in the aggregate levy to ensure it's more enforceable and how we can collect on this aggregate levy of GARV being hauled outside of Brazeau County. So we put a lot of research into that, and you'll see that at one of the upcoming council meetings. And I'll go to page 121. Under the expenses there, we'll start under 3100 shop. We don't have any major significant changes there. Under training, we have the addition of CWB certification, looking into whether that's required. Under the OH&S inspection, it was determined there needs to be some more training regarding weight-rated items. You'll see the decrease in 253 building maintenance. We repaired the shop floors last year, 200,000, so we don't have that in the 2026 budget. Moving to page 123, so we're still under shop. 512 went down, a scanner was purchased, so nothing's required in 2026 there. And there's just some minor cost of material increases that you'll see under tires and such. Going forward, under Public Works Admin, there's no significant changes, or under grader, so I'll go to page 127. Under gravel, I think this is where you'll see the most significant increase in Public Works budget, and that's for gravel crushing. So we don't have that every year, but we do have that plan for 2026 at Petrie and Buckholz pit. So crushing is required there. As you know, we're going forward developing the Anderson pit for our own ongoing supply, but until that's developed, we need some crushing of gravel in the meantime.
What do we do for, when we do a crushing contract? Is it like a 4-year supply or a 6-year supply?
What we're doing here is about, 2 to 4 years, depending.
Okay.
There's been more here, that's why I have the 2 pits this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And so under maintenance, so 3204, so we'll go to page 128. I think you'll see some increase in training there. We're definitely in an emphasis on some succession planning and cross-training, as well as some job-specific training. And then on page 128, under 261, you'll see a decrease in the gravel haul contract cost. We didn't utilize that this year. We do expect to utilize it next year. We have a lot of maintenance work planning. We'll discuss that shortly under like what we're doing with the SB90, et cetera. So some of our trucks will be taken on that. We do expect to have to use some third-party trucks in 2026. And yeah, page 129 and 130, there's no significant increases. I'm going to move to page 131. So we're under water at this point. And there's a few items that's being removed for 2026 as they were completed. We completed the fencing at Rocky Rapids Well. Utilities master plan was in there for $170,000. We've removed that. We are applying for the ACP grant for the transportation and utility master plan. So we're hoping that moves forward instead of having that under the operating here. We have the addition of GPS equipment under 241. All of the trucks in the fleet and equipment in the fleet has GPS in it. There's a few utilities vehicles we need to add that to. And then on page 132, so under water still, there's a small increase under hydrants. We're going to be, we have some repairs planned for 2026. There's a decrease in, there's a PLC replacement for Cynthia Water Plant that was completed. And under 512, under major hardware, just looking to add some cell phone boosters, and again with that GPS hardware, there's a lot of work alone in dead spots within the county, and there's a lot of plant operators with lagoons that are working alone, so that's just to cover that side of it.
Do those boosters actually work?
They do.
They do,
Yeah,
eh?
we've had
Okay.
success. We do have some in the maintenance vehicles, and so they've been tested for the past year, and so they're working well. And we do have some now installed at our transfer stations as well. There's a few work-alone incidents that was required, and the attendants can use their cell phones to even call our CMP. So we found they do work. You do have to be quite close to the shack or right in the vehicle, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So overall, there is a small increase of $500,000 in the public works budget, but it is, as we talked about, primarily due to the gravel crushing. And that is it, unless there's any questions.
Don't you see the smoke? They're thinking so hard. You guys are just doing too good a job. No questions? Go ahead, Dallas.
Check. Yeah, so just on page 125, under item 500, I see bridge planking for sure. So which bridge planking is that being allocated towards, if you don't mind me asking?
What line are you on there, Dallas?
I'm on line, just under item 500. Right at the bottom of the page, it says bridge planking, $5,000, $5,100, and then $5,000 for 27, 28, and 29.
So I can't
Okay,
speak
so
to the
what's that?
specific bridge, but we do bridge inspections on a rotating basis every 4 years. So every year, there's a number of bridges that are being done. And there's a large amount of maintenance that comes back from that.
Yeah.
A lot of the maintenance can't be done in-house, but bridge planking does. We have done it to Moosefield Bridge, we've done it to a few others in the past.
Mhm.
So on an ongoing basis, we do see it being required on these reports.
Okay. Also, same item, beaver controls, screens, hookup, hip waders, so on. Is that in-house or is that?
That's in-house, yeah.
That's us, okay.
Yeah.
Because do we utilize a beaver control individual, or is that Ag Services that does that?
We do utilize them as well in Public
Okay.
Works, yeah. Yeah, we do the cleaning out of the culverts, we do some beaver control in-house, and we do the installation of screens and such as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that'll come through on bridge reports as well, on the bridge culverts, as well as our regular culvert inventory.
Just refresh me, this big culvert out here by the golf course, is that scheduled to be fixed next year?
It is, yeah.
It is, okay.
Yeah, so you'll see that going through on the, through the capital discussions as well. So there have to be a STIP application as well. So have maybe a different grant, so we can have discussions on that one.
Wasn't there STIP funding allocated or not?
We don't know.
Oh, we don't know yet, okay.
Yeah, so that, it wasn't approved, but we're ready to apply again. But it is a drought zone, so I do have further discussions and further information on maybe a potential of getting it secured.
Dallas,
Do I have something still? Oh, so
you're late on.
on this culvert that we were waiting for STIP application for by the golf course here, did we learn the condition of that particular pipe? Is it failing, the pipe?
Yeah,
Sorry, that's out of left field, but.
yeah. And I can bring back a bit more of this under the capital discussions,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah.
Go ahead, Kara.
It's not only an issue of if it's failing, it's undersized compared to the culverts above stream of it. So only because it's really close. The culvert's right out here. If you look at the culvert under Highway 22 and the culvert under the Pitaquay Road, they're, I don't even want to, help me out, 4 times the size, 5 times the size. The problem is when we do have rain, when it actually does rain around here, on a normal year, it floods this road because these 2 culverts here have been upsized and they didn't upsize. When you upsize a culvert, I'm not an engineer, but I've also got common sense. When you upsize, you have to upsize as you go down, all the way down to where it's going. And that was not done, and it was done by no fault of this county. Alberta Transportation installed the one under the Pitaquay Road and upgraded and oversized the one under Highway 22, causing us the problem, hence an argument for the STIP funding. Is because AT caused our problems. It didn't do this before. It did it after the culverts were put in.
And there is a number of STIP conversations, and so there was the thought of, we do have third-party confirmation that it is a flooding issue, so under the DFPP grant, it might be more successful there. We've seen success with that with Hilltop. This would be a great candidate for that too, so that's what we're prepared to do this year.
I know, and I think Easy for it, we put in 3 smaller culverts just to keep the profile down low. But the 3 smaller culverts were a lot cheaper than putting in 1 bigger culvert. Is that a discussion that you have with Public Works or with Transportation to say, can we put in 2 4-foot culverts? You know, instead of ripping one out. I'm just airballing it here.
Yeah, so I can bring back all that information, because the engineering has been done on it, right? So we have some
Okay.
information on that. Yeah.
Rudy, did you have something? You did. All right, if there's no questions, let's have lunch. Good job, you guys. Oh, you're already here. I didn't see you come back in, Shane. All right, I'll call the meeting back to order. And we left off, I think, on cash accounts. Cash flow?
That is correct. Number 4H on your agenda is cash flow, and this can be found on page 150 of 154 in your budget binder, and 89 in the public one. Just give everyone a second. Yes. So with the cash flow there, just to give a bit of a high-level overview there, what you'll find within this section is essentially it speaks a little bit to the county has various reserves set up over the course of the past X amount of years here. So there is, this will correspond to the big reserve sheet that we had talked about earlier there. And so within the first couple pages of this section, you will find the reserve account and a little bit of description as to what it is used for and some intent of what it was used for. Some of these are, you know, in excess of 10 years old, some of these accounts, so some council may not be utilizing at the time or had served its purpose already, but we just give a rundown of that. And it also speaks to our FIN4 policy, which essentially there, if there's you know, at the end of the day, when we go through our final audit, if there is an operational surplus, we would be putting any surplus back into these reserves here. So just a little high-level overview. If you ever, when you look on your reserve sheet, if you have some questions as to why was that account created and what is it what's its intended use, you can find a bit of a cheat sheet there on pages 151 to 153. On page 154, it speaks to the Brazeau County's current debentures. And so looking at the top there, just a bit of a write-up in regards to borrowing and the borrowing capacity of the municipality. So as of December 31st, 2024, the last completed fiscal year, Brazeau County's total debt limit was $49,478,741. Of that, the county is carrying $5,790,990 in debt. So we are well within our debt limit there, within the constraints of the MGA. So just a little high-level information for council there as to the, you know, if we were to borrow, what's our upper limit, and then what we currently are expending. In the middle and the bottom of the page, you will see the debentures that are currently out for the county here. So we have the bylaw number, the expiry dates, how much was borrowed, kind of the principal payments coming out, and the corresponding interest rate for each of these debentures. In the 2026 budget, we have $1,124,913 in interest and principal debt repayments included within the operating budget. So these are already included, and we're, yes, carrying these through to the term listed in the corresponding column there. The solar panel lease, we do have one of the reserves is set up to have the lease payments come out of there, and for the other ones, it's purely coming out of the operating budget.
That's the one in Violet Grove that's generating a revenue source?
Yes, well, we have, so the solar leases encompass the admin building, Rocky Rapids, Brazeau Cold Storage, Lodge Pole, Fire Hall, Breton Fire Hall, and then you're exactly right, the one you speak to, that's one that we are currently enrolled with the Solar Club for, as well as with ReWatt for selling carbon credits as well too. So we do receive a monthly credit based on power put back in. I think when we look at the reserve sheet, we're currently showing what do we got? 36,000, but I know that's now in $40,000 with an updated amount I'd looked this morning. So previously we were receiving 30 cents for what we exported. They now have brought in 33 cents. So
Correct.
we have been put onto that one now. So I believe it has it where we can be on there till 2028 or until they make any changes there. So I confirm we are signed up for that 33 cents for the exported energy.
And you
there.
should be able to go year-round with that as well, because there's no load on it.
Yeah, we do show a net export every month on that one, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Should just show the council a graph, not right now, but just supply a graph of how that works, and it shows the net surplus every month of what you're actually getting.
Yeah, that'd be good information we can bring forward to council
ahead,
for
Kara.
sure.
Yeah, and I would also like to see included the total cost of it compared to what we're making and coming back. Including like the whole cost, like interest, the actual, what the panels cost, and then, yeah, and then do a comparative, like to see if there is ever going to be a payoff.
Yeah, break even
There'll
point
be, might
there.
be an offset, but there's gonna be maybe never be a total
No,
cost
and it'll
recovery.
be paid off probably in a few years, Kara. I'm just
That's why I'm
forecasting
asking for
based-
the data to make sure that's actually happening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then lastly, as part of the cash flow, as mentioned, just the, like I say, the restricted reserve sheet there. As previously mentioned this morning, we do have approximately $5 million in additions to the opening balance of the 2026, with right now the only expenditure being the $21,722 going to support the solar lease payments and any corresponding motions made by council from here on out.
Go ahead,
Glenn number two. So Colin, the Premier of Alberta said that we could borrow money at the same interest rate the GOA gets it. Now, that was last year. Is that happening? Is that true?
So to read the council action, I'm not, my understanding is it is. I'm not aware of what, the rates they are. I know we had recently for a Public Works report there, looked up the rates and trying to come off the top of my head what they're about there. I do believe that is the case on there, but I've never stood them side by side to actually compare to see, but.
Okay, as long as she kept her promise.
Yeah. And so with that, that concludes the presentation of the operating budget. We do have some operating reports for council. If you look, there's a blue tab labeled Reports for Council. And so within this page here, we'll have the top part we have them separated within budget reports proposed by administration on operating, and then as well as budget reports as recommended by ASB, and then budget reports directed by council, and these are just previous motions of council requesting a certain item be brought to interim budget discussions. And so we have, as mentioned, some for the operating, and then we'll have some on the capital side as well. Council is ready. We can look at the first report, which is on page 3, which is the Easyford Community Center improvements.
I prefer to stand, then you can see me. So page 3 of 166, this is the Easyford Community Center improvements. Just to give you some background for new councillors, this was formerly the Easyford Community Center Society, and on September 26, 2017, the property was transferred to the county. There was an agreement. It allowed for the county to sell the property with no stipulation after the county had operated the community center for 5 years, so that ended in 2022. On September 26, 2024, the county entered into a new operating agreement with, which has been in effect November 1st, 2024 to October 31st, 2028. So we have a contractor looking after that, and they look after it with the same terms that we have with the rest of the community halls. With that, like, they get that sustainability, they get that matching funding, that $18,000, so it's the same as the rest of the halls. Anyway, getting back to administration, as previously noted, that improvements to the washrooms and flooring were needed. the anticipated cost was $20,000. Ideally, the washroom should undergo a full renovation, and this would be to meet the minimum requirements needed for facility utilization. Main thing is the flooring and accessibility. The stalls don't meet the current size for wheelchair accessibility. The operator does recognize that the washrooms are a letdown compared to the rest of the facility, so she has been doing painting, and as we've seen in the operating budget, we put some more paint allowances in for that. This 20,000, the motion we have on the books is contingent on a matching grant, because they're not a society and we're not accessible, we're not available to get all the grants that societies can get. We've not been able to get a grant. So administration is seeking council to endorse the same project, but remove the grant funding requirement. So that would be, further 10, so putting in the full 20.
Carol?
Thank you to Lee through the chair. Under advantages, it says it prevents the structural damage to the roof of the building caused by snow loads. I'm confused as to why the floor upgrade would help that.
Yeah, that confuses me too. I think it's a carryover from a previous, sorry, apologies for that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
It was built upside down.
I think that's from Pitaquay, actually. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Carry on, Lee.
That's, yeah, so that was, that's the report. We're looking for 20, increase from 10 for the full funding. We'll, of course, try and get grants. I know there is an accessibility grant that we've been trying to access, but the last time they offered that was in 2023, so that's where it sits. The flooring is the main concern. So. And these are pictures since she painted the stalls. And the flooring would run all the way through the front foyer and lead into the kitchen.
Oh, Carol.
Thanks. To leave through the chair, that water staining that's coming off of that cooler or that refrigerator or whatever that might be, is that also going to be repaired prior to the replacement of the flooring?
Do you want to speak to it, Justin? I know he's more intimate, he goes down there more than I do.
Through the chair to Councillor Volk, that cooler is in the process of being replaced as part of the 2025 budget, so that shouldn't be an issue when the flooring is replaced.
Thank you.
So like as Colin mentioned, we're not looking for decisions as we go, right?
Right. Shane?
Through the chair to Lee, what is our utilization of this hall? Like, do we have a lot of people using this? Is there a big demand for the use of this hall?
Actually, Easyford used to be the busiest hall.
Okay.
And because it kind of closed there for a while, we took it over. So it takes a while, especially weddings and things that are usually booked a year in advance. I can't say the full, it's getting there. Like I said, it was the busiest, but.
There is an increase.
Yep.
Okay.
Glenn?
So yeah, when we had the operator give us short notice that they were going to be leaving, we've realized really quickly just how many weddings and everything were pre-booked, because we were flooded with calls from people looking to make sure that they could still get in. So it does bring in quite a few people to do weddings.
I would go as far as to say that it's probably the nicest hall of all the county halls. Yeah, no,
Go ahead, Irene.
So just to Councillor Belowski, to comment on that and add what Glenn had to say, I think I just have a little bit of, I'm privy to some information. I think next wedding season, they only have, I think, 2 available weekends left, so, yeah.
I think that was a so there. Carry on, Lee.
So I'll just jump to the, if you, okay, if there's not any more questions, I will go on to the next report, or does that work for you, or not?
We might have missed, you mean 5.1? On the additions, item 5.1 we might have missed, and that was the update on the Moose Hill Bridge.
That would be a public, not Moose Hill Hall, Moose Hill Bridge, right? So
Moose Hill Bridge, yeah. Just a verbal update.
that would be Public Works. So.
You catch that, Pippa?
Yeah, I was expecting to go on prior to this, so
Okay.
Well, let's finish off with you, Lee, and then we'll go back.
I have a lot of reports, sorry.
Glenn.
So after coming out of enclosed, did you want to have any direction from there? Did you want to receive that for information?
We can do that as well. We're not changing anything, but
Okay, I move to receive the closed session personnel ATIA Section 20 discussion and closed for information.
discussion? Go ahead, Glenn. Dallas?
Okay, so just reflecting the last 4 years, I've been going through the minutes, which are so well done, but when we come out of enclosed and there are other motions that we simply receive for information, there's not enough information there to know what that is. So in the spirit of transparency and accountability, can we use that motion less, receiving for information, and be a little bit more specific to what it is that we're receiving?
You did say personnel, didn't you, anyway, Glenn?
It's just a personnel, but what does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't go much further than that.
And go a little farther.
Okay.
So I'm just asking you because that's my least favorite motion to use is receive for information. I think we need to kind of get away from that a little bit more. Looking forward to the next 4 years, it's been given to us as good advice to use that motion less and less.
I'm just the receiver of motions.
Me too.
I don't make them. I'm just the receiver of them. Can you use it less and less then, Dallas?
Yes.
Okay, and then that's perfect.
Okay.
And that's probably good advice, you know. You want to not cross the line, but you want to give enough information that the public would know at least what you were talking about. Okay, so now that we've gone backwards 3 different places, Pippa doesn't want to come out of her corner, so. All those in favor? That's carried unanimous. Pippa, let's deal with you. Lee says he has too many reports. You only have one, so we're giving you priority.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. So Colin mentioned before, budget starts in June. Some of my deadlines to get information in there a month or 2 ago. So we've recently found new information, just wanted to share it with council so everyone had the most recent information that we have that might affect budget discussions. So I might sit down just so I can pull something up on the screen here. Okay, so with the Moose Hill Bridge in 2025 interim discussions, it was approved to start looking into it and to apply for STIP funding. So we were, the STIP funding was it was unsuccessful. We did proceed with some engineering. Oftentimes when we do that, the next time we reapply, you're more successful. So there's two different things we wanted to bring to council. One was Alberta, the province does level 2 inspections on bridges. I mentioned earlier that we do the level 1, but on major bridges, the province does level 2. They do that to take the costs off the county. They are high costs, $50,000 and up, just to do one level 2 inspection on a bridge. So they do eliminate that from the county's budget. Through that level 2 inspection that was done on the Moose Hill Bridge, we've received a low rating advisory of 2. So a low rating of 2 indicates a serious structural issue that requires high priority action and potential traffic restrictions. Potential action would restrict heavy loads. We have done that in the past with signage, or potentially closing the bridge. Over this winter, that might not be, urgent, but come spring, come March, we're gonna have to have discussions whether you'd wanna close that down till some work has been done, because it is a safety issue at this point. Backing onto that report that we received that was sent to us from the government, we also, it is an active landslide zone now too. So that's going to change the cost significantly. So just showing you, so this is from the level 2 inspection, just some pictures there from the inspection report.
And the pilings were slipping away from the bottom of the deck, wasn't it?
Yeah, on the east side there. So in this picture, so there's an outline in red here, right there. So this is the active landslide zone. So the bridge is right there, so you can see this is on either side and underneath the bridge. So there is an estimate, instead of the 2.5 million, we're looking at 6 million for everything that needs to be done there to secure the banks, to do the bridge replacement. The bridge rehabilitation is not advised at this time. Even doing the rehabilitation, you can still be close to that cost is what they've estimated. Yeah, so at this point right now, additional boreholes are required. They're wanting to do a scope change and a change order, which will be in addition 162,000. We do have the budget currently to continue on this path. I guess I wanted to bring it to council. I don't need a motion today. Just kind of wanted to put the conversation out there and direction if we want to continue. I'll be bringing forward future reports on this.
So
We
you're
have to
saying
have discussions
approximate-
about closing the road at some point, now that we've had the province and a third party advisors of these two issues.
So you said it'll cost a couple $100,000 just to do minor repairs to it?
No, we're past the point of minor repairs. So that's just doing additional geotechnical investigation.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now that we've got this active landslide zone, there's some more boreholes, some more testing, some more reports that need to be done to make sure we encompass everything. You can see when you do look at an aerial online, you'll obviously see when you go in person, you can see, the landslide there. This just confirmed everything. So you have the two issues. You have this active landslide zone that needs to be addressed, and then you have the low rating advisory from the province on the bridge structure right now.
That's kind of bad. They gave it 2. I think it's just because they never saw 1 before.
Yeah.
Kara?
Questions, I apologize. So maybe I'll just, so my first question is how many local residents are affected? If we closed it, how much travel time does it add to the local affected residents? And have you contacted the county's insurance company to notify them of the liability?
I have not contacted the insurance company yet. This is just all found out in the last week, so this is my first step, was bringing it here. So we'll contact the insurance company regarding the liability. We have done some looks at what a detour would look like. There's 5 to 6 residents there on the east side. instead of, 3 kilometers to pavement, they're gonna be 8 kilometers to pavement. So it is going to disrupt some, yeah. When there was traffic counts on this road, part of a STIP application, they do look at the traffic counts. There are low traffic counts on this road, but it is for agricultural reasons, and there are residents there. So this is one of the potential detour, looks there.
Where's the bridge on that? Right there.
Right here. And yeah, there's a few more options we're looking at too.
So with that, I didn't expect answers to my questions, because I would have suspect all the information's new, but those are the kind of the questions I'm looking to be answered.
Okay.
And
Did
then
I
the
miss
other, I guess the other question, and the insurance company will provide you more information, but you may have to close it sooner than later now that you know about the problems.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge liability, massive.
Kara, just help me with understanding a little bit on the insurance. Is there insurance for like normal wear and tear, or just when there's catastrophic things? So like the bridge is wearing out, it's not falling apart, it's just wearing out. And so there's no insurance for that anyway?
So
No?
it is at end of life as well, right? So this is part of the asset management on the bridges. We talked a bit about that at orientation there. We had some of those diagrams on there. So this is one that's end of life. I think they had it noted. The bridge information system shows a construction date of 1912. That's likely the age of the main truss structure. I think the truss was initially installed at Blind Man River Crossing before being salvaged and moved to this location.
Put in 1912?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not at that location. Yeah.
63? Oh.
Yeah, and
I
the
see,
move
okay.
there, and, yeah.
I see, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's.
But then you
early.
also have the landslide zone now too, so there's 2 different issues here, both quite serious, yeah.
Carol?
So you had said that were denied this STIP funding originally, and so we are going to reapply for the STIP
Yeah.
funding now that we're a glorious level 2?
Yeah, so last year there was 2 bridges that we applied for STIP funding, and both were, I can bring the letter up here, both were declined STIP funding at that time. And so, unless we're directed otherwise, we do this year reapply. So November 30th is the deadline, so we would reapply for those unsuccessful ones, because that was approved in the 2025 interim, and then we'd also apply for any that came up during this budget through 2026 interim.
And then how much is the STIP funding?
So 75% and then 25% on us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, once again, you put my depression into a depression there, Pippa, so.
Well, I'm sorry for the bad news. You might have wanted to let Lee continue instead of me, hey?
That'll teach me for putting you in front of him, eh? Go ahead, Kara.
And it's more maybe a philosophical question, but I know in the past we've done asset management. I know this bridge was flagged, and it has been flagged for, this is not something that come out of the blue. We've known about it, and we've put it off and put it off and put it off. And I'm trying to think how many years it's been since we've had the asset management plan, but I know it was flagged in there when we last did that.
Yeah.
So
There has been past motions to look into something, look into that, but then, other workarounds have been done, and we've installed signage to reduce loads instead. But in doing that, it hasn't made the situation go away, and there has been some direction for maintenance too. There is matting down there. You'll see that there is matting, and I think that's limped it along. But doesn't, we've come to a point now where we can no longer limp anything along on this one. It has to be addressed as a public safety concern now, and now we've had the province telling us that same information.
So what would putting on a new bridge deck cost? And would that help?
We're beyond that, unfortunately, because we do have the active landslide zone. We do have that low rating on the structure. So that could have been, whether that was a conversation 5-10 years ago. Unfortunately, we're past that with these 2 reports at this point.
Yeah, depressing, eh, Carol? You come in here and just spent all the money, yeah. That's the last time you get to go first, Pippa.
Okay. Should I go back to my corner now?
You can go back to your corner if you want.
That sounds good.
Go ahead, Dallas.
I think we should go into closed session for just a minute.
Okay, make a motion, we'll see if it flies.
And for procurement of land, so involvement with land. Okay, so, and what ATIA would I use? Standing? Okay. Yeah, so this is just be going to closed session, just to speak about land procurement in regards to this bridge replacement. So I'll move that Brazeau County Council go in closed for that reason, and ATIA 23.
Discussion, all those in favor? Nobody was opposed, everybody's in favor, okay. And stop fighting with that. I'll call the meeting back to order. Any direction coming out of the enclosed session?
I move to receive for, what was the item number?
5-1.
5-1. Okay, so I move item 5.1, discussion from enclosed for information.
Discussion, all those in favor? Carried unanimous. Done. We're done pretty soon. I've lost where I'm at. Lee?
So page 5 of 166, it's the school resource officer, provision of services to the Star Catholic schools. Just to give you some background, the school resource officer program has been operating in the region since 2017. It's an RCMP member who liaises with the schools, administration, students, and the community to build positive working relationships with and the tasks include attending school events, dances, sporting events, maintain order, act as a deterrent to alcohol, drugs, more recently, social media things. They help administration as a resource. So at the time of developing the school resource officer program, Star Catholic was approached to be part of the original service. They declined. At the time, they couldn't commit to the budget funding as was outlined in the operating their budget. I mean, it was in the tune of like $65,000 for Brazeau County, and then and then the Wild Rose School Division and Drayton Valley, so it's cost shared. They couldn't commit to ongoing, so they declined at that time. Anyway, their school is growing, and they're feeling the need for this resource. So we had met with the Star Catholic School and the staff sergeant, and as far as looking at what we could do, we have a school resource officer program in Breton, which is, they call it a option 1 and option 2. Option 1 is a full-time officer. That's what we have in Drayton Valley. But the option 2 is what we have in Breton, which is a part-time officer. So this is outside the regular officer's regular duties. I know even if we funded a full-time option 1, I doubt we'd be able to get one for a few years. That wouldn't be a priority for the RCMP. So option 2 is the way to proceed. So if we're looking at 40,000, and that would be cost shared, Brazeau County 13,334, Drayton Valley 334, and Star Catholic. Yeah, so I think the need's there, and I think the precedent's been set with the public school in Breton. Administration would recommend we fund that 13,334.
Kara?
I agree, this is a proactive, approach. If we were to move ahead with the option 2, are they able to fill that even
Oh,
with?
I forgot to mention that, yes.
Yeah, even with the demand on?
Yes, actually, that's one of the things that Staff Sergeant Ryan Hopemer wanted to check. He does have somebody that was interested and can do that right away.
Just because I have school-aged children and I'm in and out of the schools all the time. The one that we do have now is, they're very visible. They're, actually, every time I pick up a kid they're at one of the schools I pass. They're always out and about.
Yep.
So,
No, it's a good program, and, anybody that's got kids in the school, I've never heard any bad. It's a good resource, yes. It saves, the teachers, they're not equipped to deal with some of the things they have to deal with.
yeah, it's a proactive approach rather than being reactive on this, so, especially in the world that we live in today. Thank you.
Shane?
I agree with Kara. I've lived in the city. I know how important those are. My only question, not to go on how good of an idea it is, because I think it is, with the cost share portion, what happens if we decide not to cost share or somebody else doesn't decide? What happens then?
Yes, that's a question. I guess the Catholic School Board is getting, they're looking at this the same as the town is looking at it, so, yeah. And usually, when we do the motion, it's usually conditional on all parties doing the same, yeah.
Do we get to use this as a credit against our RCMP funding, Kara?
No, sorry, because if it was done before they did, the cost sharing, because they don't want people to be, you'd be adding another extra RCMP. It was only those that were put in before. It would have qualified if this was done before, yes.
Go ahead, Dallas.
All right, well, I used to teach Pragmatic High School, Breton High School, and I loved having the resource officers there. We didn't have resource officers at that time. What we had was an RCMP officer who would come through every once in a while, randomly, and bring the dogs to the school. Boy, that shook things up. That was our resource officer, and it worked pretty good. Yeah, so I like having the resource thing. I have no problem with that at all, but I'm just curious as to how we ended up in this space. Like, why does the municipality pick this up? In 2025, the provincial government increased its educational property tax, which resulted in Brazeau County having to collect $1.27 million more than in 2024. The total amount requisitioned in 2025 was $11,278,341. The provincial budget, Alberta, for education is $10 billion. It is completely separate from municipal services, municipal taxes for municipal services. So it's a great resource, works fantastic, staff loves it, students love it, but why is it falling on us?
That's keeping in our lane again. Interesting thoughts there, because we've been saying over and over that we stay in our own lane and do municipal services for municipal taxes.
So is there a little bit of a history that we could be brought up on speed with? Like, when did this start? Because it wasn't in place when I was teaching high school.
Well, 2017 is when we did it. I know that the Wild Rose School Division, they're down in Rocky Mountain House, so they had an example down there, and so they'd been running it for a number of years. And the way it's always, the RCMP doesn't, like I said, if we wanted a full-time officer, even if we were paying for it, it wouldn't be a priority for the RCMP. So.
Yeah, so that's, like, it's an interesting place. Like, I'd really rather see the RCMP doing catching bad guys out there. Like a resource person, when I was teaching high school, we had that one pivot person, or those two pivot persons. That was either your vice principal or your counselor that dealt with, you know, issues that should arise. So I don't know why we need to have an RCMP officer in a school. Why can't it just simply be a security person? So we're not taking RCMP out of what their assignment is. And
My understanding as far as, because there's talk of, community peace officer, but having the RCMP is, they have that criminal code part of whereas, community peace officers don't have that piece, so that's where you get the resource. They have that knowledge dealing with, criminal code.
Okay.
We gotta start leaving the hard decisions for first thing in the morning.
Okay, sorry.
Well, we still don't have an answer yet here. Okay, well, let's just pause that because we haven't been doing motions yet, so let's deal with the next item on the agenda. Oh, you got your light on there, Carol, thank you. It has a soft whisper to that light.
I think
Thank
Liz,
you. Thank you.
Liz should be making her way down here for ASB grants here.
Sorry, I just have one question.
yep.
One question. So in the previous programming with the Wildrose School Division and Breton, we were supplying funding to that program previously, and now STAR has asked for a resource officer as well. And now we are looking at a $40,000 piece, and we'll pay that 1/3. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yep.
So in our budget, we've already allocated money for the resource officer that's through the Wildrose School Division.
At Breton and Drayton Valley.
And Drayton Valley.
Not this one, though, yeah.
Okay. So this would be in addition to?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hello again, Reven Council. Hope your day is going well so far. So I have 3 RFDs for you today. Up first, we have our, if I can find my page here, page 8 of 166 under the reports for council. So every year, the ASB discusses grants to organizations, and this year, ASB is recommending the approval of the addition of $3,500 to Farming Forward, $2,500 for Ag for Life, and $2,000 for Ag No as grants to organizations. A little bit about each organization. We'll start with Farming Forward. Farming Forward is a regional applied research and extension organization that provides local data to help farmers and ranchers develop and implement informed decisions about their operations to improve profitability and resilience. Sorry, I've been battling something here. Ag for Life is a charitable organization that's dedicated to education both in and out of the classroom. The goal is to educate and inspire people of all ages to understand the integral role that agriculture plays in our society. And AgNo is an Alberta Farm Mental Health Network. They are working to destigmatize mental health within the ag industry and help promote resilience among farmers and their families. In 2025, ASB also recommended $3,500 for Farming Forward, $2,500 for Ag for Life, and this year they have asked for an increase or recommended an increase to Ag No. To Councillor Westerland's point, though, I do believe that there's a little follow-up needed to see if they're still an active organization. Any questions? Okay, moving on to page 10 of 166, which is vegetation management. So it is Brazeau County's responsibility to maintain, to do vegetation management on county-owned right-of-ways, and then provincial highways are the responsibility of Alberta Transportation. In the last couple of years, we've had a little bit of a challenge getting some work done on the area highways. And through discussions with them, budget restrictions and resource allocation challenges have often hindered timely and effective vegetation management on area highways. The ASB has recommended setting aside some amount of money to pursue vegetation management on area highways, which would be a flow through and build back to Alberta Transportation if that weed control funding is utilized. So with that, ASB did not specify an amount. So just based on what we know about contract services for vegetation management, we did set an amount of $15,000, but that is ultimately up to council to decide that amount that would be set aside.
Kara?
Thank you. My question around this, was there any discussion through the chair to Liz around the unintended consequences of this? So if we start doing it, I get that we'll get quote unquote reimbursed, but obviously it's going to take our employees out of areas that they should be working on in the county. Like, this is something that, again, we talk about being in our lane. And would the cost also, like, when you build back the province, are you taking into consideration the employees' time, the wear and tear on the vehicle, all of that, and the wear and tear on our equipment? I'm just, unintended consequences is, I actually can very well see the province, this is fantastic, you know what, we'll just pay you guys to do it. But now we're hiring extra people, or we're taking people away from our own operations to do their job. I would rather spend time and effort telling the province to do their job, but that's my opinion.
Through the chair to Councillor Westerland, I believe the intention from our conversations at ASB were to hire a contractor to complete the work, and then we would have an absolute bill that we could forward onto perhaps anybody or any of the councillors on ASB could correct that.
Good, Alice.
Yeah, I would agree. That's what we would do. What we're doing right now, the province has a contractor that does the provincial highways, and they do a number of provincial right-of-ways, and Brazeau County's at the end of the list. We're at the very bottom. So if it comes down to us procuring our own contractor to do the entire provincial right-of-ways in Brazeau County, I'd be up for that, and then bill it back to the province of Alberta so that we're in control of it and we're not at the bottom of the list. This has to change. We've just been at the bottom of the list for a very long time, probably close to a decade, so we've got to do something. And this is one way that we can start putting our foot in the door. But, yep, that is the intention entirely.
Shane?
Through the chair, and to touch on what Dallas said, that is, the intention is not to have this as a we're going to do this right away. We're still going to have the conversations with the province about this to encourage them to do this themselves, but we needed a backup plan because we'd had discussions with them all last year, and then it didn't get done, and now it's affecting county residents. Like, the highways aren't being done and it's getting into people's fields, and now we're getting the backlash from this. So we wanted, I believe, an ability to deal with this so that it doesn't keep getting worse and worse.
Go ahead, Kara.
Thank you. Through the chair to administration, do we have an agreement in writing with AT to allow this to happen?
We don't, and that is, through the chair to Councillor Westland, we don't at this time. That is something that we would work to pursue, because at the end of the day, we don't own that property, and doing herbicide on application on that property is not our responsibility or our right to do so.
So until we get something in writing too, that would need to be in place.
Yes, or until we actually notice them for their property.
Yeah.
Yeah, does the Weed Act supersede not having an agreement? You think it does?
I'm not worried about
No, I'm just thinking that
I'm
the
not
Weed
worried about
Act-
the Weed Act, I'm worried about the liability.
What are you worried about, Dallas? You're not worried?
I don't worry about things. Yeah, so what we do want to do is have a good agreement in place and have action that is measurable and timely and effective. That's what we want. So definitely we're going to drive towards that. Yeah, if we have a little bit of money in place, clearly we're not making decisions right now. We're not bringing motions forward, but if we do have a little bit of money in place, if we can secure that agreement, we won't have to come back to council and we can move ahead with that. We all heard through the last 2.5 months or on the campaign trail how important it is that Alberta Transportation takes care of their right-of-ways. We all heard that.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal. Some guys made quite a bit of smoke about that. So it's a primary concern for our residents. We need to address it, and we're just going to move the chains. That's what we're going to do.
Dallas, all done? Okay. Kara?
Through the chair to Dallas Ekstrom, looking at the $15,000 amount you're budgeting for, or asking for, is that going to be enough to hire a part-time person to handle that? $15,000 isn't going to go very far. So just curious what the plan was on a $15,000 budget.
Through the chair back to Councillor Volk. Yeah, our goal is just to do a spot spray, target really hot spots. No, we do not want to do all of Alberta Transportation's right-of-ways. We just want to focus our attention to specific areas where we know they're problematic. This year, 2024, they've clearly identified themselves. So focus on them. We don't want to do everything, just limited amount. And we don't want to take from our resource people. We'd prefer to just hire a contractor, go out there and take care of it, and it doesn't have an impact on our operations. Does that answer your question? You're welcome.
Like on farmland, we get our notices and stuff like that, and there's quite a history that everybody would have. Do we have any history with the Alberta Transportation as far as giving them weed notices on certain areas so they know where to look and target? You know, let's say we do this year, next springtime they're out there ready as soon as the plant starts growing and they get nuked.
Yes, we absolutely do. I think I saw Greg in here. Greg Cameron, our assistant ag fieldman, is in constant contact with Alberta Transportation. He sends them, because it is the responsibility of the county weed inspectors to inspect the provincial right-of-ways. And as soon as we get those reports in our hands, we forward them to Alberta Transportation. So they are aware. We are already in talks for hotspots for next year. And the season always begins hopeful, and we believe we always want to see action. But yes, from our side, there's
I've
tons
never
of
had anybody
information.
apologize up front, but it seems like that's what it is. Every year we have these great hopes of getting the weeds cleaned and done, and in the fall time we go, well, it rained, it did this, the truck broke down, the arm, ran out of chemical. There's always something that stopped the perfect solution from happening. Okay, well, that's good. It's hopeful. But yeah, you're right, 15,000 doesn't go very far. A few jugs of Grazon and you wasted all your money, or not wasted, you spent all your money. That's funny, Karen. All right, so I'm just kind of thinking on a broader picture. So we haven't been doing motions. Was the plan tomorrow to go over everything we went over today and make motions where appropriate? Is that what everybody's thinking? Okay, that's what I was thinking. And then once we get the motions done, then we move forward on the other issues. Because I think one of us is getting goofy. And, okay. Go ahead, Glenn.
Through the chair to Colin. So it says on the back page, 15,000 increase to 02-63-06-239. Is that the account? So if I make that motion tomorrow, that's where the money's coming from for this? That's just such a long number. I haven't seen that one. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Are you all done, Liz? You got more?
I have one more.
Okay.
You're not quite finished with me yet. So, Brazeau County Ag Services Board has a very robust equipment fleet that is available for rent for county residents. And at our October 8th meeting, it was brought up to potentially add another piece of equipment, which is a portable corral system. So this is a all-in-one system with an alley, gates, squeeze, depending on the model you get. It is able to be hooked up, folded up, hooked up behind your truck, pulled to any location, and deployed by one person within a few minutes. We do know of one other county that has one of these, and we have chatted with them, and it is a very well utilized piece of equipment in their rental fleet. And ASB has made the recommendation to add $91,080 to the 2026 capital budget for the purchase of a corral system such as this. The attach that you're seeing on your screen is from AeroQuip, and it is a Healer 75C model.
Carol, then Glenn.
Through the chair to Liz, could you tell me what that rental revenue stream was from that other county that has one? Do you know what their projected revenues were from the rental of the corral system?
They didn't give us exact numbers of what their revenue was, but they did say that it was pretty steady in and out during the spring and fall when cattle handling is the most, cattle handling equipment is the most utilized, but I do not have an exact number for you from them.
Okay, thank you.
Glenn?
Yeah, it would be generally used during those times, but it could also be used if there was an agricultural emergency or cattle trailer or something along the highway that needed this deployed quickly. So it'd also be something in our emergency response plan to consider having something like this, especially like if there was a fire or something, and if you needed to round up animals, it would be useful for that.
Aria?
Through the chair to Liz, can you just confirm this would be a second corral system?
So we, through the chair to Councillor Harris, we do have a separate set of corrals, that are on a trailer, like individual pieces that can be set up as a corral system. And then we also have a cattle squeeze and a loading chute as separate items.
Got it.
So this is an all-in-one.
Okay, thank you.
So what we've looked at over the years with the ag cultural community is it's providing a service to the community. If cows are out, you're providing a service by having these corrals and stuff all ready to set up. And the same thing with the squeeze and other items. It's a service that you're providing. It was never a cost recovery basis, ever. So. Aria?
Through the chair to Liz, do you guys have a number on what this would be rented for? Like how much residents would have to pay to rent this item?
We don't have a number. Maybe if I could just impose upon Greg, do you remember what the other county was renting theirs for? $200 a day.
Thank you.
That's it, I guess.
That's all from me.
You're free.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cynthia Rink on page 17. So just to give you some background, according to the county records, the original asphalt pad at the Cynthia Outdoor Rink, it was constructed in 2003, and an overlay was completed in 2015. Through routine inspections, the rink has been identified as needing refurbishment due to the condition of the space. There is pictures attached in the report. This was originally brought to council for consideration part of the 2025 budget process, and at that time, Councillor Gunderson directed administration to look into using cement in the Cynthia Rink, removing and replacing the boards, and looking for partnerships with community groups for the 2026 budget. Since that presentation, administration has reviewed the proposed project and sought collaboration with the public. Lands housing the skating rink are owned by the county. Many grant programs do not permit municipal governments to apply. Typically, in these cases, administration would seek to partner with a community group. There's no longer an established community group in the hamlet of Cynthia, so partnering with grants for such a community facility so trying to get somebody for the CFAP, that Community Facility Enhancement Program. If we haven't been able to do that yet. So the options are full replacement of the skating rink with the concrete surface. We'd be looking at $301,660. So, go ahead.
Sorry, Council, I do apologize. We did have some updated pricing come in after we submitted our reports for budget, so I do have that updated pricing with me here for you. Option one with a full rink replacement with new boards and a concrete pad. The total price for that with new boards would be $415,518. There was an option to keep the existing boards given by that contractor that we reached out to, and that would have the total price at $354,356. The second option that we would be looking at would be to replace with an asphalt surface with new boards coming in at $104,770, the asphalt being $73,114 for a total of $177,884 or $116,722 by reusing the existing boards. Option three would be a renovation of the rink, which included regrading the site for drainage and the removal and reinstallation of the existing boards on new pilings. And that cost is from a quote that we received back at the time when this was originally brought forward to council. And the fourth option would be to defer this decision to final budget after the completion of the recreation master plan.
the issue with most of these things that are failing is that they're not drained properly. And then you get the freeze-thaw cycles, and it pushes up the asphalt, it pushes up the concrete. You've got to have the surface raised so that the water runs off and away. If you let it sit there in a hole, which most of them are, they're down there, that you just get all the frost and the water going in underneath, and then you get the freeze-thaw, 20 times in the springtime, and it just destroys them. So if we're going to do anything, we need to do the base first and get it drained properly so that because it's not supposed to be a pool. The water is just supposed to be like an inch thick kind of thing, not a pool.
And if I may, Reeve.
Yeah, go ahead.
The problem that we've mainly encountered with the Cynthia rink and the Rocky Rapids rink is those rinks were put in the lowest spots on the property when they were built, just, I'm assuming, for space at the time. So that is a problem that we are dealing with.
Dallas,
Yes.
you've been pretty chatty today.
I am feeling a little bit chatty today.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so unfortunately, there's no longer an established community group. So who are the users? Who's using it?
General public, we don't have numbers as far as users, but I know that when we've gone out there, I've gone out there personally too with staff because we're teaching them how to do the rink properly because, you've had people come and they try and do it like a pond, which doesn't work. You need to do it on layers and layers, and it has to be cold to do that. It's like doing a ice climbing wall, you build on layers. But anyway, I know in recent years there hasn't been the volunteer base to do that.
Yeah, so that's part of the problem why we have some failure here. I can just look at the pictures and see how it's falling apart. If you don't have a partner, you don't have a deal. So I'm just concerned about who's using it. I don't know. Counselor from Division 1 will for sure be able to tell me.
We'll go to Shane and then give Glenn the last say.
So that, Councillor Ekstrom kind of pointed at that, but through the chair too, Lee. So we maintain this then? We maintain the grass, we maintain the ice. So right now, because there's no community group, who puts the ice on? Who maintains that building right now?
The Cynthia actual hall was one that, like the example, that's when we came about with the sustainability. This is one that fell to the province, and council had put a lot of capital dollars into Cynthia and operating dollars, and it went straight to the province and they sold it, and whatever they got for that, they got to keep the money. So that's why we're doing the sustainability, doing the bylaw, so it falls to the county. So we can decide, the county can decide what its future is. Yes, there's no active society there, right? So.
Sorry. As far as the actual operation of that site goes, the county does mow the grass and maintain the playground. As far as the rink goes, the county has not been putting ice in to the rink.
Okay, Glenn, take it away. I guess Carol's gonna have, Ari's gonna have the last say.
Are you looking for a motion? No, nobody uses the rink. It's not usable because the boards are way too high and the balls would just roll out from underneath. The asphalt's cracked and it's unlevel. It's no fun to play anything in there, so nobody uses it. I don't know if there'd be anyone that's used it this past year. The residents in Cynthia tend to be older and they're not really interested in floor hockey or even pickleball for that matter. Most of them, from what I understand, when the conversation is brought up, they would like to park their cars under there. They do. There's a lot of cars in Cynthia, and they would love to have an opportunity to make that into a place to park the overflow cars. And I know that talking to Public Works, they're dealing with cars parked out on the streets that they don't necessarily want. So I don't know if that would be an option that council would consider, but it would just be a matter of pulling the boards down and turning it into a free-for-all parkade, like what do cities do, I guess, right? You just set up a parkade and go that way. I don't know with community services thinks of that idea, but that has been one of the things that they've all asked for, and I know that there's cars parked out on the street in Cynthia that are double parked, shouldn't be parked, and yeah, so, and some of them have some collector cars. There's, like I said, there's mostly seniors out there, and there's no interest in using that facility.
But, communities wax and wane, and maybe not now, or maybe not for the next 5 years, but at least you got the structure that's still there. Maybe not an actual skating rink, but. Carol?
Thank you. Without dating myself, which I'm probably going to do, back in the day, in a small community, we had an outdoor rink, and that outdoor rink was serviced and maintenance and the clearing of the ice and the ice putting in was put in by community members at volunteer time. So what we're looking at here is a community that's not investing in their infrastructure in a volunteer manner. So even if we did do all the work to the facility, there's nobody to maintain it. And so I don't feel that it's in our best interest to put a bunch of effort into a piece of property that is not got the public interest in the communities in mind. So without sounding like a Debbie Downer, I just think that it's not worth putting a bunch of extra effort into. We could utilize it, leave it as be, as long as it's clean and kept up so that it's not an eyesore, because we don't want to be responsible for that. But in the meantime, just put it on hold and see if the community revives and changes like like Reeve had suggested. Thank you.
Glenn, did you already talk? Okay, I'll go to Aria first then.
Okay, thank you. Glenn kind of answered it, but I guess my question would be, has there been any comments, complaints that it doesn't get flooded? Is anyone looking for this as a recreation use, in the community?
Go ahead, Glenn.
I think all of these were intended to be flooded and used regularly. The issue was, and I had personal experience trying to flood the rink at Cynthia with the tank truck. Many times I tried that over a period of 2 years. I couldn't do it. I could make ice at my place at the house, really easy. But as far as a community, for some reason, the way it's designed, whatever it is, it's a nightmare to make ice in there. And I suspect Cynthia would be the same. I know Lodgepole, I don't think they got ice into theirs at all last year. They totally redid theirs, but they never had a chance to get ice into theirs. So, yeah, like I said, making ice is really tough sometimes. I mean, but at the house where I have control over the way everything sits and how it's designed myself, I can do it. But to try to do that into that thing was more than anyone can, and I've seen a number of guys give it a try, and they can't make ice. So yeah, even in town, last year we couldn't get ice right in the town rink, and then again this year there's nobody willing to do it. So it would take, like I said, I can do it overnight at my house. It would probably take me 2 weeks of just steady work to build some ice on a rink like that.
Well, my question is, nobody's missing it? Nobody's missing the ice?
They are, because they used to have a beautiful rink in Cynthia, and it was actually just a dugout, and it was one of the most popular rinks in the area. People from Drayton Valley would go and skate on it. When this got built, it was to replace that, but they just couldn't. And I know Public Works has tried to go out there and show them how to do it, but like I said, I wouldn't wish making ice on my worst enemy in that building. I tried, and you just freeze to death, and you get wet, and you can't make any progress. The water goes in and it runs back out underneath the boards. It's really tough. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
You got to do it in the wintertime.
Yeah, I remember doing the ice in Rocky Mountain House on the skating oval, and that was the biggest complaint in the spring. Why did you take the ice out?
Well, I don't see any movement right now here to do anything, except maybe turn it into a parking lot if that's what the community wants. But once again, if we do any work on any of these things, the whole idea was to save the kids a lot of time shoveling snow all winter, right? Put the roof on it, you know, sheltered from the sun a bit too, and then you'd have you'd have ice lasting a lot longer. All right. Okay, so I don't see any direction on this right now.
So we're going on to the Rocky Rapids. So page 25 of 166. This one's a multifaceted one. Just background, so October 10th, 2024, moved by Cody Brooks to direct administration to work with the Rocky Rapids Community League to pursue discussions to address concerns with the building, including possible demolition of the building. And then on August 19th, 2025, moved by Kara Westland, that council add Rocky Rapids Community Hall demolition to the 2026 interim budget discussions. So approximately in 2018, the Rocky Rapids Hall has not been used since 2018. It still remains standing. They still have an active Rocky Rapids Community League. They just use it for storage. One of the things in that hall, it's tied into a water well where some of the neighboring properties use that. Also, administration received frequent complaints about individuals feeding cats under the hall, prompted discussions between administration and the community league regarding the removal of the structure. We did do a hazardous material inspection in 2025, which confirmed the presence of asbestos, lead paint, and other materials. Since this time, administration has been working with the community league to develop a plan to address the derelict building, including addressing the water well and the potential community cat population. So the water well, the Rocky Rapids Community Hall is supplied with water by an artesian well found in the basement. The well is also connected to a neighboring property. And so discussions at the August 19th council meeting included comments on the historical importance of the artesian well and potential continued use and or historical recognition. Through discussions with the utilities department in Public Works, the recommendation is to abandon and reclaim the artesian well. And this is due to the Water Act prohibiting private well use when there is a municipal service nearby because of risk of contamination, safety concerns for the aquifer. Artesian well, or being part of a larger groundwater system and other uses, it's important to safeguard against potential contaminants. Keeping the well open during remediation and demolition could result in hazardous materials entering the water system. Should the site be converted to a bulk water station, safety concerns for the public playground users exist due to the size of the equipment expected to use the station of this type. Administration recognizes the value of honoring our history. Partnership could be taken with the Drayton Valley District Historical Society to develop appropriate signage for the site following removal of the facility. The cost of the artesian well reclamation is $25,000. As far as the cats, they've been using the hall underneath as for the gathering place. Administration is planning partnering with an existing shelter to assist with the care of any captured non-feral cats prior to the demolition occurring. This will include notices to the community that when we trap, so that if we get any captured non-feral cats, collaboration with a veterinary practice, and we'll work with them as far as moving forward with any of the captured cats. Unfortunately, the local shelter has expressed lack of capacity and willingness to partner on this project. We do have a verbal confirmation from Parkland County to assist with the care of any animals captured. The projected cost for the care of the animals would be $2,000 for an estimated 5 cats. Administration is also recommending an allotment of $3,000 for incident veterinary fees. So remediation and demolition, we're looking at funding to undertake hazardous risk. No, we did the hazardous risk, and that showed that we did have asbestos. Administration reached out to a contract to get idea of costs. Abatement projected at $127,578. This would result in the remaining structure needing to be demolished at an additional cost. Council did have a question about whether the cost could be covered through Community League's insurance. Utilizing insurance is typically undertaken for damages after an event, not for pre-existing circumstances, such as hazardous material removal. Therefore, the cost to remediate the costs would need to be included in the project. The cost associated with demolishing the building after the remediation would be a further $50,000 for waste disposal fees. So, just to capture that all together, artesian well, $25,000, some signage, $500, cap management, $5,000, the hazardous material abatement, $128,000, and the demolition and groundwork, $50,000, and there's a contingency, $20,000. So we're looking up to $228,000 for that, to do everything in there.
Wow, that's a lot of money to start a fire.
I just want to add one thing about the cats. I know that, like you said, somebody sent in some pictures of tin cat food because they were feeding what they thought some cats living under there, but I don't know if we're just, you start putting, dinner out there, I'm sure all the neighborhood cats would gather there, so I don't know, because we did, I worked with Tom, the fire hall, and we had them come out with their infrared heat seeking. They use that in fires just to see, and actually it was a cool day, like -20 when we did that, so you think you would have good results. So looking all the way around that building, there was no heat, there was no cats under there, so. Yeah, so.
Well, thanks for that report.
I know when you get into it tomorrow, I think if you don't decide to demo the hall, I think at the very least we should be looking at the artesian well reclamation, especially considering, just complying with legislation, so. Just.
Kara?
Through the chair to administration, because this is not owned by us, again, I'm going to be the liability police today, and I can already tell people are rolling their eyes, so I don't even need to look over. The liability, there's no liability to the county, knowing what the safety risk is to this building. It's derelict. If it was to fall in and something happened, the liability lies with the property owner, correct?
Not with my experience, actually, because, we built the new playground, which is right adjacent to that. And I know that, there's a big hole in the side of the building. So with kids frequenting, I know from other things I've been involved with, even if you're not the owner, but you're kind of acting like the owner, we've been doing a lot of the things.
Paying their bills?
We could be treated as such, so.
Yeah. And I said it quietly, but we pay a lot of their bills.
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
Have
the
you
whole-
looked
the
into that
operating-
part of it? I guess my point is we can't turn a blind eye to the issue that we know we have. And I know, jokes aside, a fire there would be absolutely catastrophic for that community because it would be shelter in place. And then the stuff that falls out from that too.
So, go to Dallas and Carol.
So Lee, how can we do the artesian well reclamation with the structure in place? Is that possible? Is it underneath the structure?
Would we need Darcy for this one, or Tristan, do you have, because I know we talked to Darcy, added this piece, as far as public works. Go ahead, Tristan.
Darcy would probably have a better answer than I do, but through the chair to Councillor Ekstrom, based off of the well reclamations that we just did at the Pitaquay Campground and the Lindale Hall, my best guess would be that we would be able to cut and cap without having to demolish the hall. But again, I'm not a well expert, so.
I see. So it's a casing?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Oh, okay.
Did you want? Sorry,
Go
Pippa, did you want to? I noticed you.
So in some brief conversations, it was discussed that even without the demolition of the hole, that yes, we would be able to close off that well. And from a utility standpoint, it was highly recommended on their point, because it could affect the aquifer, the liability protecting water source. There is things within the Water Act as well as the water and wastewater operator certification, once you know about this, and needing to close it off and protect the aquifer, so.
Carol, go ahead.
My question to administration through the chair is in regards to what Councillor Ekstrom was speaking about. In here, it says that the neighboring property is tied into the water well as well. Is that neighboring property currently, is there people currently residing and utilizing that well? Or is that just an empty land?
Yeah, no, they are utilizing that, and so there have been conversations with them, and that's the price is built into that to cap and bringing them onto our municipal supply.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Karen.
Maybe through the chair to Lee, through your comments, maybe just highlight the part, I believe there's some stuff in the Water Act because we know the situation and because municipal water is there, the resident is, and we're aware of everything, is that we have to now follow law on what to do, correct?
Yeah, that was the part in the report as far as the Water Act prohibited private well use when there's a municipal service nearby. That's what the Act stipulates. So.
Okay, carry on. We got 495, I think, is next.
Yep.
Administration suggested pause.
Yeah, because there's a few $1 million that we've been going through here with.
Yeah, so, Reeve, if I may, I think it's, now that we're done with community services and we were scheduled for a hard stop at 3 o'clock, it might be a good time to break for the day and pick up with Public Works again in the morning.
Okay, I like that idea. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn? Until tomorrow, yeah. No, you guys all just want to sit here? Stare at our shoes, maybe? Kara,
I move to adjourn.
thank you. Discussion, all those in favor? Isn't it fun coming to council meetings here? You guys should be taping this. Oh, I think they are.